Alright, gamers. Let's just get this started. Allow me to introduce myself, if you're new. Hi! That was interesting, okay. I am Texas_Grandma. Definitely real grandma from Texas, don't question it. I am, at time of recording, the world record holder for Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance Beginner Any Percent New Game, as opposed to New Game Plus. And I am recording a tutorial for that very category, because there has been some demand for such a thing, and I would like to see DDD grow and develop as a speedrun, so I thought, why the hell not? Let's do it. This game, of course, has a reputation for being just balloon rush spam. I'm hoping to sort of dispel that notion, at least a little bit. There's some balloon rush spam for sure, but we'll get to that. A couple of things, just a couple of obligatory disclaimers before we get into the thick of things here. If you're someone who's new to speedrunning, if you're here for the first time, hi, welcome. It's a great time despite all the yelling you might hear me doing on streams. It's a very fulfilling hobby. If you're starting out, do not reset your runs. Your focus should be getting completed attempts in until you have enough confidence with the route that you can reset, to get a better time without proceeding to fall flat on your face in mid-game or end-game because you haven't done it in, days or whatever. I'm gonna probably talk about like some big potential time losses, just particularly in early game, just particularly with RPGs, action RPGs. There's almost always that kind of thing. But your focus should be completing runs, even if you're not gonna PB. Just completing a run if you're starting out is an achievement, and you might PB more often than you think if you just do no resets. So that's disclaimer number one. Second disclaimer, kind of already touched on it, but there is a lot of randomness in this game. There's a lot of RNG to deal with, both in terms of just the tools the game gives you, and in terms of like fight patterns, the moves enemies do, their positioning, the moves that bosses will choose to use, and when, and a lot of it is just out of your control as the player. So we do not, typically speaking, have like strats in the conventional sense. There isn't like a set combination of moves you can do in the right order with the right timing to get through the fight the same way every time. You might expect if maybe you've seen KH1 runs or KH2 runs, those runs are a lot more consistent. There's going to be nonsense that you just have to learn to deal with on the fly. Being good at many speed games, but these Osaka developed Kingdom Hearts titles in particular is about being able to roll with those punches. So my goal is less to tell you exactly what to do, although there will be a little bit of that if I have like an opening I think works particularly well for a fight, and more about just discussing the kinds of things you need to keep in mind. The things you should be thinking about during a fight to try and get through it as quickly as possible. And let's actually open a save file to talk about this last little thing. So I run on PlayStation 4, and as such, I will be referring to the control scheme that I use to run this game and to play this game. So first of all, that's PlayStation controls. So we're talking X, we're talking circle, we're talking square, and we're also talking control type A, which is the default control type. Whenever you start up a new game, it will default to control type A. I recommend you stick with control type A. I find it works best for me. But there are two other options. And if you are trying to run this, you surely have the game, so you can look at it yourself. But if you just press X, it'll give you a rundown. I shall specify English controls, Japanese controls, swap, circle, and X, but like X is attack, O is jump, circle is jump. If you know, you played the game with, you know, type B controls casually because you liked using L2 and R2 to cycle through commands in Birth by Sleep, you know, if you want to adjust camera, you know, inversion, command deck scrolling, which, like, again, if you're experienced with Birth by Sleep, you might want to do type B with flipped command deck. That just might end up working better for your, I can flip this too. Didn't think I know that. These are all things you can choose to do. You know, there'll be time during the run at some point for you to, you know, go into the menu and adjust this after you've done like a small handful of fights. But I think your best bet is just sticking with type A. So whenever I'm referring to like specific sequences of inputs or whatever, if I end up doing that, I'll be referring to type A. Yeah, without any further ado, I think we are ready to actually get started. This being a new game, so we will not be carrying over spirits. Vibration setting and subtitles do not matter. And time starts when you hit yes here. So 3, 2, 1, go. That's when you start your timer. A couple of boring things to talk about first of all. For almost all cutscenes in this game, as I just did, you can pause to skip them as soon as that spinning heart in the bottom right corner disappears. There are a couple of exceptions that I'll try to call out as I see them, but ultimately you'll figure it out through experience eventually. I want to do that. You also have to wait to hit down in order to actually be able to skip the cutscene. The pause menu needs some time to fully load in before it'll accept the input. It's annoying. It's one of the most annoying things about running this game just throughout the run, is that cutscene skips are really slow. But, you know, you learn the timing. It really isn't that bad once you get used to it. But it'll look slow. I'm actually skipping these cutscenes as fast as I can. Not this one, of course, because I'm sitting here, but that's the point. Tutorial pop-ups. If you're familiar with Birth by Sleep running, you'll be familiar with this principle. But whenever you get a tutorial pop-up like this with the multiple screens, you want to clear it using your back button, which again, for our purposes, is circle. If you're mashing X to try and get through them, then you'll go through each page in order before it'll actually let you close out. But if you hit circle, close out immediately. Same for these tutorials that pop up. You want to hit circle to automatically clear them. Except for two exceptions, which we'll talk about when we get there. You can skip boss intro cutscenes, so we're going to get into the habit of doing that. Ursula, you're going to open the same way. You're going to do a single Keyblade hit and then reacts to what she does, so we're going to do that. So the ideal pattern you want to see is you want her to wind her right arm back to go in for a swipe, a command grab. In which case you would dodge, and then you'd be able to just attack her freely without her trying to retaliate at all. And it makes the fight pretty free. Fortunately, for my purposes, we get to demonstrate actually having to play the fight. Your quick blitz will come off a cooldown faster than your spells. Your commands are your best source of damage, so you want to be using those basically as soon as they come off a cooldown. I could have just done another combo, or I could have done the quick blitz earlier and that would have killed low earlier. So slightly unoptimal, but yeah, you can play pretty aggressive. Like, getting hit is okay. I'll skip a cutscene because you can tank some hits. If you're not aggressive enough and you aren't able to stagger her to keep her from DMing, then you'll just have to shoot off your blizzard and your fire and hope you can kill. We're gonna sit here for a while. Anyways, that's Ursula. It's a tutorial fight, whatever. So dives. Let's talk about dives real quick. So there are a bunch of dives that you have to do in order to enter each world as both Sora and Riku. There's a scoring system, goes from I think D rank up to A rank. We need to A rank every single dive in the run in order to be as fast as possible. Not just because that means you got through it fast, but also because the dive wing keyblade for final fights is locked behind getting each of those A ranks. So making sure you're getting A ranks is very important. Going fast is also important, but the A rank is based on your score, which is a multiplier of the time bonus from going fast for the number of points you get, and then also on top of that satisfying the requirements to unlock the end goal for the dive. So you want to make sure you're getting an A rank above all else. If you're trying to go fast and find yourself getting B ranks, then slow down until you can figure out how to go fast and consistently get the A rank. A rank is more important, is TLDR. Get the A rank. But that said, I'm going to show you how I try and go through these as fast as possible. 3 to 5 is pretty good. I do want to be timing these diving strikes. My timing's a little bit slow right now. Bonking there is not good. That's a pretty uncommon scenario, so I'm gonna try and go a little bit out of my way to get extra points. Ordinarily, I just spam diving strike on those enemies. Okay, that was not particularly fast. That could have been like 2 seconds faster, roughly. But we still got the A rank, so it's whatever. It's fine. As long as you get the A rank, it's not that big a deal. I might make a separate video talking about dives specifically at some point, but that's topic for another day. Anyways, we're going to talk about flow motion for a second. If you've played the game casually, you probably know that there's, you know, a lot to mess with flow motion, so we're going to talk about it. Your primary mode of entering flow motion is going to be air sliding into things. So jumping into an air slide, into, you know, dash, jump, whatever you want to do. You can also dodge roll into walls to do this, but as you can perhaps see, that leads to a long wind-up animation. Whereas if you wall kick from an air slide, you can jump immediately. So unless it is very inconvenient, generally you want to do air slides. Like if there's a low wall or something, that might be the exception. The first thing, air slide into wall kicks. And then these poles don't actually demonstrate it very well because they have this weird sort of geometry. But generally speaking, you want to you know, be timing your releases from these poles, like either jumping off or dashing off, so you get off them as fast as possible. It'll be easier to demonstrate once I'm doing some actual movement later. Again, these poles don't quite behave like poles in the rest of the game do. What else? I have a list. That's right. So we have a railing here. Most railings will be a lot longer than this, so it's fortunately not great for demonstrating. But if you are in flow motion, landing on a rail will automatically start the rail slide. If you're not in flow motion and you touch a rail, then it plays that little startup animation, which ultimately you want to avoid as much as possible. So landing on a rail from flow motion, if you're just moving through a room, tends to be optimal. And for longer rails, you want to spam the dash, which is tied to the square, in order to get just a little bit of speed for longer rails, and especially straight rails. If they're curved, generally that sends you careening off. You don't want that. But yeah, that's rail tech. And just general movement things. You want to be dashing generally as much as possible, because dashes are good for speed. But the dashes are pretty difficult to control, and especially if you're dashing off of a wall. The game kind of wants to send you away from the wall at like a 45-degree angle, roughly. which can make it difficult to get the direction you want. So sometimes that means that doing a jump is better. Ultimately, I've gone through these rooms countless times, so I have my ideas of like what are the best ways. When do you play it safe with the jump? When can you go for a dash pretty safely? Starting out, you may want to just spam jumps just to like get through rooms safely, and that is perfectly fine. Yeah, dashes tend to be risky because if you don't hit anything with the dash, first of all, you can get wall kicks when you don't want them, which is sometimes bad, but you also enter this lengthy recovery animation and fall to the ground, just sink like a stone, which isn't what you want. So, dashes are fast, but do them at your own risk. The last thing I want to discuss is that when you're in this slow-mo state, first of all, you can't enter the pause menu. So I would be able to enter the pause menu if I touch the ground. But when you're in slow motion, you can't do menuing. And you also cannot enter loading zones. You cannot move between rooms. But you can enter cutscene triggers. At least most of the time. I don't think there are any exceptions to that. So it is usually pretty safe to just dash directly into a cutscene trigger, but if you're trying to enter a loading zone, you generally need a little more precision. And yeah, I think that will about do for a flow motion primer. So we spawn at about here. I like to dash into this, and then do something like that, and that lands me in front of this door. Skipping some more tutorials. Here is pretty simple, just jump off of here, and this is one of those cutscenes I was talking about. And the game is about to give us a tutorial for a fight. This tutorial we actually want to activate. All these tutorials up until now we have been canceling out by just mashing circle. This one we need to be hitting X in order to actually do, in order to go as fast as possible. Very easy to, let your muscle memory take over and accidentally skip the prompt. But I actually want to do this. These text boxes we'll only really see in the beginning of the game. These you have to mash with X. Everything else you just do circle. Like that. And then this allows us to quit a tutorial, and that skips the fight entirely. So if we had not actually initiated the tutorial, then the game would put us into the fight and we'd have to just play it out. Which isn't the end of the world, but it is slower. So you want to, be paying attention during this early game section to make sure you don't miss that. Anyways, moving on. Now we are entering more of these text boxes. I try and time mashing through those text boxes. If I mash, I tend to find it to be really slow. So I time my inputs. It's roughly the speed of like twice the speed of the music, like eighth notes. So if you think that's about, it's like 160 BPM or something like that. I tried to measure it with a metronome, but that's about the rhythm I do. As you can probably tell, that's pretty fast. The game makes you make this Meow Wow, and you want this Meow Wow to have not yellow eyes. You want the Meow to have blue eyes. If you really want to, you can give your Meow Wow a funny nickname, but it does take time, so if you're trying to go fast, it will just be Meow Wow. We are not going to do anything about the eye color yet, but you do want to be taking note of that, and at top level, you do have to open that help icon, or that help menu before it'll let you proceed. At top level, not getting the eye colors you want in your early game spirits here is a reset point. But as I've mentioned a couple times now, you shouldn't be resetting. So I will show you how to deal with this in order to get through your runs. I'll talk a little more about petting spirits later. Believe it or not, there is actually tech to that. Sort of. Not so much tech as like that control preference, I would like to suggest. Anyways, all that stuff I did is required. The game will not let you progress if you don't do it. That dash down the hallway is pretty risky. As you saw, I accidentally got a wall kick, in which case you just jump. But you can dash all the way down the hall and then fall right in front of the door, which is more optimal. That's what you want if you're trying to go super optimal. Otherwise, just the third jump will do just fine. And now we're diving as Riku, and I get to actually demonstrate. Okay, sometimes you just bonk on things because the game puts you in bad situations. Yeah, even if you're up against like large groups of enemies like this, you generally don't want to do full combos. Because each diving strike is what the game calls it, but I'm just going to call them dashes probably. Each one does actually like move you forward, and that's not the case if you do a combo. If you do a combo, it slows you down. This is a speedrun, we don't want that. I'm not going to grab that. Okay. And I'm a little bit rusty, so these are a little bit messy, but I should still get an A rank, so we're good. Not even going to worry about it. Random text box that you have to clear with X for unlocking the link portals. I just jump off this pole into a dodge roll into the door. Bit of a late cutscene skip, but that's fine. Game is gonna force us to make another Dream Eater. And this can worry about. We also want to have blue eyes, ideally. Let's see what we get. Also no blue eyes. Okay. That's fine, I get to show you how to deal with it. But that is bad RNG. That is not what you want to see. Just like with Sora, we are going to get a tutorial to show us how to fight. Again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to be hitting X to actually accept the tutorial, hit play now. And then, as soon as this intro is done, we'll be able to quit out. If you're really fast like that, you can hit the pause button to skip that without... I accidentally started that cutscene. You don't want to do that. Wasn't paying attention. That can happen to you. Don't be hitting X when you're supposed to hit circle. Yeah, same principle. So it's you skip the fight. It's faster than actually playing it. Yeah, you want to do there. I'm just gonna describe what just happened. The drop meter just showed up, so I'm gonna try to move fast. That's one thing. But you want to do that air slide into the wall and then hit your attack button X immediately. You don't want to jump before you do it. Like just as soon as you enter the wall kick, you want to be hitting your attack button. You should automatically target this panel in the wall and do that corkscrew attack. It's based on number of hits. That's just the quickest way to get a bunch of hits out and activate it as soon as possible. We also now have the drop gauge. If you've played the game casually, you already know, but if that gauge runs out, you automatically... the game forces you to swap to the next character. We do not want that. We are able to move fast enough in the speedrun that generally the drop gauge should be a non-issue. For the purposes of this tutorial, and also to show any new runners who maybe want to have the safety net, I will show you a couple easy places to pick up some drop me knots, which is a consumable item you can use to refill the drop gauge. And we're gonna sip some water. And this cutscene is unskippable. You notice there's a number next to the drop gauge. Grab that chest. 2 jumps should do, and then you enter this room. I'm going to talk about weather a little bit later, actually. That number matters. I'll discuss it more probably whenever it comes up. For now, 1 dodge roll is enough to get you over to this mailbox here. I just try and dash into a jump to land directly on the rail. Again, want to land on rails from flow motion. This chest is optional. I actually open it. But it does guarantee you have enough money to do what you need to do later. So starting out, I recommend grabbing that just to make sure you have enough water barrels coming up. But here you want to land on this platform, whether you grab that chest or not, and then you're going to walk in front of it, spawn enemies, and then dodge roll backwards into a reality shift. Hopefully not into the thing. Okay, this works. And then you want to hit all of these enemies and that wall of presence behind it. Blizzard will kill that. That gets you to level 2. That's what you want. Gonna do a dash into a jump here. It's a little bit risky. If you fall in this room, you trigger a long, unskippable cutscene. So you can... I didn't mean to do that. I can just sort of demonstrate. You can instead just jump over to this and then jump up. That's a little bit safer. But I like to go for faster movement. Anyways, grab this chest. Jump over here to grab this chest. All this stuff is just to sell. We need a bunch of money early on. And then come over here. I can wall kick just off of this doorway. Again, trying to time my releases off of those poles. Dash into a jump, land just right in front of this chest. And I'm gonna try and do a movement kind of specifically in order to get up onto this platform with the big chest here. I think this will work. Okay, good. So you want to wall kick off of like the bottom of that wall and then do a full jump into a wall kick off of like the highest point you can get to on the next corner, and that should give you enough distance to do a jump into a dash to land just on top of here. You can also delay your dash so that you just wall kick off of this and then you can jump up. It's a little bit safer. In any case, grab the chest. Has a strike rate. Need it to sell. Then it can jump off the tower. And we're gonna come over here. Didn't mean to land there. Don't worry about it. Come over here. Grab this chest. It has a water barrel. I like to do 2 dashes into a jump so that I land a little bit faster. Grab this chest. Has a balloon. This we will not be selling. Actually, we need that. This is a cutscene trigger. You can just dash right into it. And I like to wall kick off of there into a dash into a jump. You can also just dodge roll over to this Moogle. And now we have a big shop. So we are going to enter a sell first. We're going to sell almost everything we have. All these attack commands with the Keyblade icon, they can all go. These 3 spells we're going to keep because we need them for the next boss fight. Although if you want a cure on for safety for the boss fight, then you can choose to sell the fire. If that's what you're doing, then you wouldn't need that backup chest we grabbed in the post office. But you really should be able to get through the fight without a cure, so I recommend keeping the fire. You're definitely keeping the blizzard and the balloon, though. Sell the sleep. Didn't mention it while I was doing the Ursula fight, but you don't want to use any of these potions. Not that you shouldn't need to, because you want to sell all of them. I can hit just right on the D-pad, and it'll automatically move the quantity over to 10. Then we're going to sell everything that isn't a rampant, vibrant, or a troubling figment. So all these fantasies we've been picking up, we're going to sell all of them. And these paint guns I picked up, that was the bonus item we grabbed, in the post office. So sell that. And then once all that is sold, you're going to hit square to go to buy, rather than having to back out and move to buy. You can just hit square to swap between the two. And then you can use L2 and R2 to tab between different types of things to buy. So R2 3 times, and then you're going to buy enough vibrant figments to get to 3. So in the bottom right, you can see that number next to stock is 3. That's what we want. If you get lucky and get a drop, you might only need to buy 1. You will likely need to buy 2 in most cases. So get used to that. And then tab over R2 twice to get to toys here. And then you can hit L1 and R1 to sort of tab around the menu. So from, you're going to be at this top option when you come over here from R2. You're going to hit R1 once and then hit up. That gets you to water barrels. Hold right until it shows you 19. Ideally, you want 20 water barrels. That's what we have. I should also mention that you can just hit the start button to exit out of the shop immediately. I accidentally treated it earlier. You should get a tutorial pop-up here. You can just clear it with circle, and then you're going to come over to change spirit. That's not right, actually. You want to go to create spirit, and you're going to come over here. There might be a tutorial pop-up, or just a pop-up that comes up when you enter this menu, depending on the weather condition. You just clear it with X. Come over here so you can make your G-meter from parts, and you're gonna make this Thomas sheep. And you want Thomas sheep to have anything but blue eyes, so we actually got lucky here. If it does have blue eyes, it just saves you a very small amount of time in some menu. It's not a big deal, but ultimately is a little less optimal having blue eyes Thomas sheep. And now you're going to change party. Swap Meow Wow for Kamori Bat. Put Thomas sheep on this slot, and put Meow on this slot. You can really fly through those inputs. I'm doing it slow to demonstrate. But that's the order you want. And now we need to adjust our eye color. So for Kamori Bat, this one's easy. If Kamori Bat has anything other than blue, you're just going to poke its face. And because I am on PlayStation, I had the option of using the touchpad to do this, which I actually prefer doing that. I find it's a little easier on my hands. And it doesn't matter so much for beginner categories. For other categories, you may need to pet G-meters rather than poke them. You can pet your G-meters by just rubbing the touchpad and it doesn't move the cursor. Whereas if you're using the control stick and X to play with your spirits, you'd need to move the stick around too, and then you'd have to reset the cursor to make sure on the right body part. Just makes things a little bit more of a pain. So that's what I do. We can now see that Kamori Bat changed to having blue eyes, the rescue disposition. That's what we want. It's not always going to happen that quickly. It can take a very long time and be a big time sink. But that's what you want to do. It will work eventually. And then it's pretty quick for Meow Wow too. That's good. If Meow Wow has yellow or green eyes, you want to poke the forehead like I just did. If it has purple eyes, you need to poke the tail. And this should be the only time in the run you need to worry about this stuff. Should you accidentally change one of these spirits to the wrong disposition during this point, at this point it shouldn't matter. But if you're doing this and for some reason the game registers your input wrong and it changes to the wrong disposition, then you will need to back out of the menu and re-enter. Otherwise, the game won't let you change the dispositions again. But now everything is set. So now we're going to spin water barrels. Got a tutorial to deal with. And you want to exit out immediately. And for the purposes of just starting out, also you want to be mashing... I'll demonstrate what the intro cutscene looks like, just so you can see. So when you activate the water barrel, it plays this long cutscene for opening up. You want to just skip it by mashing start, and then you want to hit start to skip as soon as the start text starts to move at you. Just to blow through these as fast as possible. And you want to, starting out, just use all of these just to, make it easy on you. The number of link points, that's that LP, the right number that's appearing over each G-meter as we cancel out of these. The number you get is random. Having 20 closes out the range to make sure each of our spirits gets exactly as many points as they need. It is possible to overshoot, but trying to count how many points all three of these little bastards have is very hard. I don't recommend trying. It's not worth it. What I do is I just count the number of points Thomas Sheep has, because Thomas Sheep generally will reach its point maximum we need last, because it needs more points than the other two. And also because we'll often need to do at least a little bit of playing with the other two to change the dispositions. They can get extra link points because of that. So just generally speaking, Thomas Sheep will cross the finish line last. So if you really want to be optimal, that's what you can do, even though it still won't work 100% of the time. Sometimes you'll Tom Sheep will hit its number, and then you'll have to back out of the menu to do another water barrel because Meow Wow somehow doesn't have enough. It happens. Ultimately, starting out's not something you should be too terribly concerned about. And then, once this is done, we are going to enter the ability links. Oh, it's at the end here. Just purpose of keeping, that's not what I want to do. Just purpose of keeping things moving along, I'm gonna enter the ability link and see what's going on. Okay, so Kawaii Bat has plenty. Kawaii Bat needs 330 minimum. Oh no, Kawaii Bat needs 310 minimum. 330 is preferable. So, no matter how many points it has, you're gonna do this. And you're gonna do this. And because I had at least 330, I'm gonna grab this, and then this. If you didn't, you would go from here to this, and then you'd grab this, and that would also get you this magic haste. But if you had the extra points, then this one is a little bit faster to grab. We don't really need this drain dive. So that's Kawaii Bat done. And Thomas Sheep does not have enough. Okay. Shows me right. So Thomas Sheep needs 21 more points. That's not enough. Okay. So it did end up needing all of our barrels. That's fine. That happens every now and again. Alright, so you're gonna grab this sleep and then grab this magic boost down here. And then move along this path here. Alright, this question mark. Once you hit this question mark, you want to be fanning your triggers, which allow you to switch spirits. Yeah, like that. And if you get lucky, it will skip this animation by switching to another spirit's board. It didn't work that time, so it took a little more time, which is a little unfortunate. But it's a small little skip you can go for. It's frame perfect, though, if I'm not mistaken, so, you know, don't feel bad about not getting it. You want everything up until this magic haste. Once you have this, you can move over to Meow Wow. Secure. Up here is a magic haste. Grab that. And then grabbing just everything down here. And we want this magic boost. And if you have extra points and you're worried about money and you really want to, you can grab this spark, but it doesn't really sell for much. Not really worth your time. Once that's done, you're done in this menu. You can hit your pause button, which in this case is options, to go directly to commands. And I'm going to replace these potion and this empty slot with my 2 balloons. And unlike other Kingdom Hearts games, you can't back out of the menu immediately by hitting start. It'll back you out of each stage of the menu, which is a little unfortunate. But just back out of the menu either with the start button or with your back button, and then enter the Haka Monkey fight. Enter the Haka Monkey fight. There we are. I open this fight by dashing into this wall, into a slow motion slam attack. Those fists tend to spawn at the beginning, and they'll like to interrupt you out of your balloons. That was an interesting fight. He generally runs around a bit more. On beginner, him starting his DM like that to break through the glass actually works in our favor because we do so much damage, but generally you don't want to see that. And that fight is pretty RNG heavy. You just want to use your commands. I'll generally do, let's pause this cutscene. I generally like to do Keyblade swings to try and bait out all those fists that tend to spawn at the start, to all hit me so that they don't stun me out of my balloons. Because those do a lot of damage. You really want those to come out without getting stunned out of them. And yet you want to use your balloons as much as possible in particular. Your Kawaii Bat has the ability to cast haste on you, which will increase the rate at which your commands reload, in which case you'll really be able to keep spamming balloon, which will make the fight really fast. But the more likely scenario is you'll want to throw in some blizzards and fires, as I did, especially because now we have our 3 magic boosts commands for the entire rest of the run will be our best source of damage. So yeah, not a whole lot else to talk about there. Just do that opening and then figure out how to make something happen. And now we have some errands to run as Sora before we drop to Riku and continue playing the game. Got a tutorial pop up here, just skip it. And then your first stop is going to be Prankster's Paradise. And like I mentioned earlier, we do want to A-rank every single dive. This dive is especially important because it gives us a balloon rush command, which is the main reason for the errands we're running. Fortunately, this dive isn't particularly hard. These balloons will be the same spot every time. Fortunately, there isn't a huge amount of RNG in most of these diving segments. Enemy positioning is the one area where like their movements will be random and you have to react a little bit, but in these dives where there's no enemies, they tend to be 100% consistent, which is rather nice. You can do a laser spin here to help take out more balloons and make A rank really easy. I'm going to skip it. Feeling lucky. If you're doing one laser, you want to do it about here, so that it hits all of these clumps of balloons at the end. If you hit one clump, it grabs all of them. And that should give us enough points to A rank. Okay, good. Yeah, you would use 2 commands or 2 lasers just to be a little bit safe. Should get you the A rank every single time if you do that, as long as you're, you know, doing your dashes. Alright, and we are immediately on a cycle. That Ferris wheel in the back, we want to get there as fast as possible. I do that by doing movement that looks roughly like this. Jump up here a couple of times. Want to land in this cart. Grab that chest. There's really a good place to do an air slide, so I do actually dodge roll into an dodge roll into a wall kick there. I hit the wrong button. Been playing KH1, my muscle memory's messed up. You want to hit X to activate save points. Actually, let me demonstrate real quick. These save points are huge. I'm like way over here, and I can still activate the save point. So that's something to be aware of. It can save you tiny little bits of time if you activate the save point from a little farther away than it looks like you need to. But in any case, that's how we're doing. We just want that one chest and the balloon from the dive. Come over to the grid now, where we have our first dive boss, which is also the only good one. This one is actually consistent, which is nice. Consistent and pretty easy. You have 2 defensive moves. You kind of do the dodging deflect or the aerial break. They will both be appropriate for different instances. When he comes at you like this, you want to do the break, and then you want to try and get an early strike and slide over to the second orb as you're doing it to hit both of them in one strike. If you don't get that, it's fine. It's just a small optimization you can go for. And then you want to do full combos. Bosses are basically the only time where you like actually want to do full combos, because the damage output actually matters in these cases, as opposed to just moving through a tunnel fast. Delay this one. And yeah, second time around, you're just gonna do the same thing, try and go for that same early hit.
Here we go.
And then after the boss, you do want to spam your diving strikes to go as fast as possible towards the goal ring.
Here we go. Here we go.
But yeah, as long as you get a 2 cycle there, you should have an A rank without any issues. And this world is a movement world for Sora. He does not have any forced fights he is required to do. It's convenient for us because we need some stuff. like to take a bit of a wide berth here to try and snap this rail without pole spinning around that bird. The larger Dream Eaters will allow you to pole spin around them, which is occasionally useful, but most of the time it just slows us down ever so slightly. Just dodge roll here gets you to the rail. Moving in this room is a little awkward. I like to try and land on that strip and then just dash into a jump into a dodge roll into the loading zone. Get counter rush. There's, as I was mentioning, a couple of drop me knots you can grab. This is one of them. So you can grab that if you're feeling a little nervous. The other one is right in the next room. Not usually going to be spamming dodge rolls, but I do want to time them when you do. Then you just do a big jump into a dash to land here. And then make our way through here. Gotta get up to this hole in the ceiling. To do dash into landing, into an air slide, into this reality shift. You can cancel air slides into reality shift, so doing like a dodge roll or something similar to reality shift tends to be the best way, in my experience, to activate them. Otherwise, things get weird. Anyways, you want to grab that chest that has a balloon. Wall kick off of here. Do actually want to pole spin around that E-glider. And then make your way down the hallway. There we are. But you can wall kick off of that low wall there. To jump off of these specific boxes, so I land nice and neatly in front of this chest. Stay towards the top of this room to avoid spawning enemies. Land here, then you want to pause. As soon as you see Sora move after he lands from the flow motion, you can pause. I prefer to do this outside the store rather than in the other room. Whenever you enter a room, there's a little bit of a delay before the game will let you open the menu. So it's a little more optimal to open the menu right here and drop. And I'm taking out of the weather. Okay. Nothing particularly useful for me here, that's fine. That tutorial takes a while to come up, it's fine, don't worry about it. And now it's time to do Riku stuff. Small menu we gotta do first. We gotta change Riku's party to the same configuration that Sora has, so I want Komoybat and Tamaship, and then Yawa over here on backup. And I like to go to Ability Link in order to get to commands quickly by mashing that same start button. And then we're going to put on 2 balloons and 2 balloon res. I generally build my command decks in specific ways to prioritize like efficiency of menuing as far as actually like setting up the decks. This is how I do it. You can choose to like alternate your balloons and balloon res if you want. You can do balloon res on top. Ultimately, if like something else works for your personal preference for the entire game, basically, then that's up to you. But especially if you're learning, I would recommend going for something that's optimal like this as far as menuing is concerned, and then learn how to deal with the deck in combat. The decks in this game generally aren't too terribly complicated, so it should be. And also, like, the optimal menuing tends to work out just fine as far as like being usable in real time, so I don't worry about it too much. Anyways, those are the commands you want. Riku's drop gauge has a 1.3 on it. That means that we have overcast for this world, which is good. Whenever you see that, it means you have free time save, because your magic is going to do way more damage. So that's something to be on the lookout for. If you have overcast, then you can go hard. It's pretty nice. Anyways, to open this fight, I like to do a wall kick off of the wall back into my right, and then jump into a like a slam attack, and then doing it that way sort of causes the Meow-Wows to move toward me, allows me to sort of keep an eye on them. And then I do just single physical hits to pick them off, and killing 3 of them will spawn the next wave. Ideally, one of your spirits kills one of them, so you only have to kill 2. And then you just start doing balloons and balloons, balloon res. Yeah, like that. And then ideally spawn that wave with that balloon, start doing balloon res. And yeah, physical hits can be good to pick off stragglers. That's a pretty good fight. Overcast makes it easy. But it can get out of hand. Those bats like to spam that multi-hit attack, which can stun you out of your commands. The prickle mains also have some multi-hits, and if they go red like that, then they like get super armor. So there are some things to look out for. But ultimately, the fight should look something like that most of the time. Anyways, dodge roll, walk forward slightly into an air slide. That gets you into the loading zone faster than any flow motion could, as far as I'm aware. Just bouncing between some walls. And coming up here, there is an enemy spawn we need to avoid. So jump sort of over the corner of this building. Make sure you touch that save point. If you spawn enemies, then that save point will disappear, and you'll have to enter this room and then exit in order to despawn them and touch the save point. You need it for a save warp later. Anyways, in here, you're going to wall kick here, and then I like to do that into a dash so that I have just enough space to get off that flow motion slam. Balloon Row will finish off that last prickle main, give you level 3, and then one more flow motion slam gets you to 311 experience to the next level, and then your experience routing is pretty much on track. Let's do a dodge roll into a wall kick there. Wall kick off of that, and if your spacing is right, that pole will pull you to the ground like so. Let's get into this boss fight real quick. This fight sucks. This arena in particular really sucks. It won't be as bad because of Overcast. First of all, I'm not going to grab it for these purposes. That chest on the right has another drop me not if you really want it. If you really want a third one. But this railing in front of us, these are all over the arena. And the game really likes to put you into flow motion as much as possible. And considering most of our damage is going to be from commands, we generally don't want that unless we're actually doing movement. So we really need to be careful about our positioning and the way we're approaching the boss to make sure we're not entering flow motion at the wrong time and committing to lengthy attacks and jumping animations that we don't have time for. So the way I open this is I dash forward, it pulls me to the railing, I jump towards the boss, and then I jump and use 2 balloon res, and I got the reality shift. Okay, good. This is what you want. It's your goal here is to activate this reality shift. Okay, that kind of worked. That was a little sketchy, but I made it work. That fight can be really annoying. You really want the 2 balloon res to hit really good so you don't have to do another attack to activate the reality shift, but that's a way that fight can go, and you just kind of have to be willing to deal with it. Yeah, you can't skip that cutscene, by the way. I'm just explaining stuff. There's a lot of cutscenes after you do the second Traverse Town here. Just get through the fight. You'll have to improv a little bit. But, in any case, when it's done, you're just heading over to Prankster's Paradise. Again, Riku also has some errands to run. But after this, we will be getting on with the show. This dive has some RNG. Not at the start, though. You can just dash forward and hit that point. As you can see, you can sort of skirt the outside of these cat's cradles and still hit. those points, their hitbox is rather large, which I try to do to keep going fast while collecting points. I do Mega Flare here just because this section gets really annoying if you don't. You can get through it spamming dashes, it's pretty hard. 530 points is pretty good coming out of that section. I do another Mega Flare here, same reason. Okay, and that's our first bonk. One bonk is like fine. I should have plenty of points, I'm just gonna go around these guys. That's like a pretty decent dive. Again, as long as you get the A rank, like that's one where you may want to go a little out of your way to get extra points to make extra sure that you get it. But in any case, finish that. I like to jump out a little bit there so that I don't land on the roof here. If you land on the roof, then it makes it okay. Tom Sheep just cockblocked with talk to Geppetto. That was interesting. In any case, you just want to get over here, talk to Geppetto, and then you can leave. In this room, I can do forward jumps. Should be just enough to get up here. Oh, also, I need to put on... I forgot to do it in the last room. Yeah, like after you talk to Geppetto, or like as soon as you enter the world, you want to menu and put on skull noise. Movement is a little suboptimal now. But it does buff your magic, and you do need to do that. Come here, activate this reality shift, catch all these guys, and then immediately get away from here. Come over to this chest, and open it. I like to walk a little bit to the other side of this chest, just to make sure my spirits come to me. We want to despawn those enemies we just popped the barrel on. Do another one of these. Catch them again. They retain the damage that we did from the last one, so we get to kill them, hit magic level 4. Or just level 4. And that's a magic increase. You want level 4. That means that you did everything right. This room, you spawn directly on top of the save point, so you can just mash X and go to world map. And now you can go to City of Bells. Here we have another dive boss, Queen Butterfly. Queen Butterfly is an enormous gaping asshole, and I hate her with every fiber of my being. Fortunately, Queen Butterfly 1 isn't nearly as bad as the reprise that's coming up later. Generally, like every once in a blue moon, she'll hit you with some weird patterns, but this opening's pretty consistent. She'll shoot those needles at you, and then each of her little buzzerlings will come at you one by one. I like to do an aerial break just so you get behind them, make sure you know where they are. You want to try and take out as many as possible with one strike. Do a full combo. You can do single hits here to keep damage going. And once she's 2 hits away from death, you can go for the combo. And that was a very good 1 cycle, actually. If you get 2 cycle, you can still A rank, but it's quite a bit slower. So you really want to try and get all those hits in early. That's worth practicing, in fact. It's a little tough. And you really need to be careful about tracking her movement. It's very easy for her to get away from you. And once she gets away from you, it's very difficult to keep your all of your hits from whiffing, and then you're guaranteed a 2 cycle. It's a mess. But anyways, finish that, get your A rank, come in here. And then this room is weird because it's mostly poles. You're going to jump off of that. And then you can do something like that. It's pretty tough. You might want to just jump between the poles, and that's fine. But I generally try and do something like that. It's not quite as weird on the way back. You only have to... Getting those 2 poles is pretty easy. Air slide immediately to your right. You want to hear that sound of you touching the save point, because we need to world map warp back here later. Then jump off of this corner, land in front of the Zolophant, and 1 balloon roll will kill it. Then you can well kick off of that well. You can also go for a dodge roll if you like. because it is pretty precise getting it with an air slide. Yeah, once that Zolfin's dead, we do need that just for experience, I should clarify. You're coming in here, do something that looks more or less like this. Gonna try and do some fancy movements. Okay, the angle wasn't quite right. You can knock that Kamui bat into the exploding barrels, then it dies. I don't know if it's particularly useful for experience routing, but it is pretty sick, so I generally go for it. But anyways, get past that. You can dash directly into this cutscene trigger. Wall kick off the wall behind you. It is not a loading zone currently. That wall kick I just did is pretty precise, actually. If that corkscrew attack doesn't work, then you would walk slightly right and do a single hit into an air slide to get directly to the wall, and one more hit will kill it. It's just based on like hit count. But anyways, do something like what I just did to get out of the room. Walk out to the save point. It'll spawn just forward and to the left. Try and anticipate it before it spawns in, and then you're gonna come to the town. That's why we touched the save point earlier, so we could just warp right back here. And now we're gonna go fight the boss. Generally like to enter this with the deck over my first balloon. And then I just do like one jump over here into a dodge roll. I open this, I jump into an air slide, double flight into an air slide. I got hit out of my balloon, and then the game ate my balloon route, which it just does sometimes. This is a little messy. This is a bad fight. This really got away from me. Yeah, the game does this awesome thing where sometimes if you're like in the recovery animation for like getting hit out of a command and you're spamming the command button a little too hard, the game will just eat the command. That one pretty messy. The goal is that you get off all your balloons at the very beginning there, and then you can cancel the end lag of a balloon route with a reality shift, which is something we try and do pretty frequently actually whenever it's convenient. And then you can do the reality shift to stun it, and while it's stunned you can set traps with your two balloons, and then that does a lot of damage. It can go a lot better than that, but like I said, sometimes you just gotta improvise. So that's what I did. Sipping some water, excuse me. Once that's done, however you get through it, you are coming into the grid. This dive is pretty easy. I'm gonna try and go for the 3 dashes at the beginning here. It's pretty precise. But I made it happen, which is pretty sweet. You can go for just 2 dashes and play it safe, waiting to get through that space at the end there. But in any case, once you're through that opening section, you can just hang out at the bottom here and you won't get hit by anything. And that is all there is to it. Nice and simple. You'll love to see it. Pity the rest of the world isn't like that. The grid, as Riku, generally speaking, has a lot going on and has the potential to be pretty tough. Fortunately, not so much on beginner, but there is still a pretty big mob fight that's weird to deal with. Anyways, here's Light Cycle. Completion of this first half of the minigame is just based on distance traveled. So I am hitting the change mode button in a very particular rhythm to try and do it as much as possible, as fast as possible. The optimal rhythm is actually a tiny bit slower than the background music. So I'm gonna do that. Generally what I do is I like mute the audio in my headset using just a switch I have on it, so that I can focus on the rhythm without having the background music distracting me. Yeah, the optimal rhythm is just a little bit faster than the background music. And you want to be doing this as much as possible while also avoiding getting hit, which you'll generally want to do by just jumping over those light trails. The light trails do have a pretty intense, lingering hitbox that you want to be on the lookout for. I'm a little rusty with this, so it's not... Okay, that low stretch right there is pretty good. This is more or less what you want to see. Yeah, that's that lingering hitbox I was talking about. I got sniped like right at the end there. Okay, so we're nearing the end of this first half here. And now we have the boss fight. And what you're gonna do to start, you're gonna come over. You want to be like a little left of this line in the floor here. That's about where Commandos will come up behind you. But as he twirls around with that, you want to jump. That keeps him in the light beam just a little bit longer, and you can tank the hit. And you're just gonna shoot. And ideally, Commandos does what he just did, which is do this physical attack. That means he is staying within range of the lasers. That is what we want to see. Looks like he's not gonna do it again. Okay. Alright, where are you? Alright, there we are. Yeah, there's not a whole lot else to say about that. If you get bad patterns, you just have to react to it. You shouldn't really be in danger of dying on beginner, luckily. But unfortunately, if Commandos feels like giving you a bad RNG, it can lose you quite a bit of time. And if he goes behind you like that, you just want to try and catch him with that ribbon and sort of open it the same way. Anyways, once that's done, come into the menu, equip Guardian Bell. Our drop meter is 1.6. That means basically nothing. If you're a veteran Kingdom Hearts runner, you'll be used to, by default, hitting down to hit the second option on basically every text box you see. Maybe unless you're a KH1 runner. But for all the other games, that's generally the muscle memory you have. You do want to pick the first option here, though. Because you want to come to the city. And you can do a dash pretty high up as long as you're aligned with that ramp below you correctly to get into this fight. First thing to do here is run away immediately. Come here, grab the Stundara. Doing that will despawn the enemies. They spawn in back here. And then you can start taking them out with Balloon Res. And once this wave spawns, I like to focus on these snails, first of all. They tend to have the more annoying status effects. And then once this wave spawns in, I like to try and take care of these owls first, because they have these multi-hits that can really make it difficult for you to get damage out. Unfortunately, nothing's really hitting my balloons. Yeah, and the fight pretty inevitably will devolve into a free-for-all like this. That should have just been another balloon rush. That was a misplay. Whatever. It's... You kind of want to, like, target specific enemies in the first couple of waves, then once that's done, you're just playing cleanup. There isn't really a strat for that fight, so much as just using your commands as smartly as you're able to. So, you know, just do that. Get through as fast as you can. Jump off of here. That ended up being weirdly optimal, actually. You want to be hovering over Balloon Rock. Come in here. push those guys together. And then we are at 15th in the next level, which is about what we want. I like to walk to about this point in the floor and air slide into this reality shift. And then that explosion should kill that bird and get me to level 6, which is what I want. That's another magic increase. We need that for the boss. You really need to hit that before you leave this room we're in. So if you don't get it from that owl or from the cyber yogs that we just killed, then you'll have to figure it out probably in this bottom part of the room. There's some more cyber yogs that spawn. You'd probably just pop a balloon on one. But because we already hit level 6, I can just go fast. Land here, dodge roll into reality shift. Doing the dodge roll air slide into reality shift prevents the game from eating my commands, which is good. Doesn't matter as much for this section, but it can be annoying in a couple of boss fights. Oh, we got a lucky extra kill, which is nice. You always love to see that. Certainly can't count on it, though. That's very RNG. Some of these cutscene skips are slow. Don't worry about it. I'm trying to tutorialize and play at the same time. Okay. Movement in this room will be much the same as what we already did with Sora, except we're not grabbing that one chest. I like to touch this rail and then do some dashes, jump off of that corner, and then that lands us directly in front of this elevator. Something I'm going to do, this is not optimal, but it can make things a little safer with some RNG coming up later, is after you enter the elevator, you come right back out, then the enemies are despawned, and you can touch that save point. Then I like to try and wall kick off of this door frame. Wall stuff for door frames are pretty tough. Definitely don't feel bad if you're not able to get them, and you need to figure out something else. But sometimes it's just the best option for going fast with flow motion in a room. Anyways, that was a cutscene trigger, so I dash into it. I do a dodge roll into an air slide to snap to this rail. I do 9 dashes generally. Then try and dash off the end of this into a wall kick, and that gets me out of flow motion so I can activate that loading zone as soon as possible. Here's Commantis. I open this with 2 ballooners immediately. Commantis has a lot of multi-hits, so you really want to make sure you're not getting hit out of your commands. Okay, this is good. So we activate the reality shift, or we hit the phase barrier to hit the reality shift. And what you want to do is ideally you want to have your balloons off of cooldown so that you can come under here, like sort of behind the claws, pop your 2 balloons, and then a balloon run, and cancel the balloon run with a reality shift. And these inputs are random, by the way. You'll have to react to them. It's just Simon Says. And then all of them will pop. And then we can just do the same thing again. The balloon is going to take a little longer to come off a cooldown, so I'm just going to go without it. But these 2 balloons will still do a lot of damage. And then that'll kill. And then, as you don't have to wait for him to fall down. Like as soon as the health hits 0, you can mash out that reality shift to get it out very quickly. And that's Commantis. That was a very good Commantis fight. And generally speaking, as long as you can like hit that first reality shift, the rest of the fight should look basically like that. It's not terribly hard after that point, but you can get some kind of mean patterns. He'll hit you out of your commands. His attacks come out really fast. So you do have to be a bit wary of that. Ultimately, once you hit that first HP barrier, that's the hard part done. Anyways, once that's done, we are able to finish off Prankster's Paradise, so come to the belly room here. And for some reason, in this room and the next room of Monstra, Riku spawns just slightly above the floor. He doesn't spawn on the ground. So you can just mash out an air slide immediately without having to like jump, because you'd have to land to jump because he spawns above the floor, which is very silly. So you can just mash that out and get a wall kick off the wall there. Come over here. I like to wall kick off the inside of that door frame, land up here, and then do just a regular hit. That's the fastest way to activate that room change. If you do end up needing to do another wall kick in order to and another jump in order to clear that ledge, then you just do a flow motion slam attack, but it is a little bit slower. It is nice if you can get that more precise movement. It's also a room where you can go directly into an air slide. It looks like I accidentally did a dash before I went into the jump, so it didn't let me dash again. So I generally don't go for that, but I wanted to demonstrate. I want to have my balloon res set for the next fight. Just kind of jumping around the walls here. I like to try and air slide after that jump off of the arch into that loading zone. I do a dodge roll forward into 2 balloon res. I'm afraid of getting hit out of that one, so I'm going to dodge first. And then you want to try and hit him with 2 of your balloons. We are looking to activate the reality shift. Good. I accidentally ate a balloon. It's kind of what I was talking about before, about how the game really likes to eat your commands when you activate reality shift. Okay, that was a decent enough fight, though. That went pretty well. So the goal there is just to activate the reality shift as soon as possible. Then you can sort of get him into this mini loop. And as long as you're able to do that, you can kill him before he... Not before he starts the desperation move, but he does that startup animation. You can kill him before he actually gets to do anything. So that's pretty much the ideal. And now we have to deal with weather RNG. So we're going to check... Okay, so we have Bargain Flurry as Riku. This is what we want. And luckily it's pretty common to get Bargain Flurry as Riku in the City of Bells, I find. This is usually where you'll find it. I'll just sort of explain. We need to buy some stuff as Riku specifically. There are some items that I've unlocked specifically in the Bargain Flurry version of the shop for Riku, because he has beaten all 3 bosses of these first 3 worlds. If we did not have Bargain Flurry, we would need to do drop cycling. So just to sort of demonstrate, let me see if I can... Okay, so here, you see Bargain Flurry here. This is the weather that Sora will have, so this would not help us. We would need Bargain Flurry to be here in this slot, and then Riku would have it next time. But luckily we don't have to worry about that. And ultimately this is what you want. You want to already have Bargain Flurry somewhere. Unfortunately, it's just an RNG thing you have to deal with in a New Game setting. New Game Plus doesn't have to worry about this. But in any case, you're going to find the shop. I should demonstrate, actually. So, in City of Bells, the shop will just be in the town. If you're getting it in Prankster's Paradise, you just go to Monster Mouth on the ship. And the shop is right there. You can just use that one. And in the grid, you would need to have gone out of your way to touch the save point. So it's not optimal to do so. But if this is the only place where you have the Bargain Flurry, then if you had touched save point, you'd be able to access the shop pretty easily here. And going to check Traverse Town takes a lot of time. So you really don't want to be going out of your way to check Traverse Town. It's really not worth your time most of the time, if I had to guess. But if that were the case, you could just go to the menu and go to Flick Rush, because I don't believe... Yeah, Backstreets wouldn't work. So yeah, if you had it in Traverse Town and wanted to do your shopping in Traverse Town, then you would just do the Flick Rush option, and that would get you the closest to a shop in Traverse Town. But in any case, for our purposes, for this run, we are going to town, and we're going to sell some stuff. And more importantly, there's some stuff we're not going to sell. We're not going to sell this collision magnet. We need that for later. This fire and this blizzard we can get rid of. This cure we want to keep, but we can sell confuse. Not slow, we need slow. We can sell sleep. And we can sell any dream pieces that aren't the rampant figments or... Well, I don't actually have vibrant figments. Okay. If we had vibrant figments, we wouldn't want to sell them. We're going to sell the Lofty Fantasy and these two that sell for 1,000, the Malleable and Charming Fantasy. These are the items we picked up specifically to sell, so you're going to want to sell those. And then just anything else. We actually only need 3 rampant figments, so we can sell another one of these. And we need, bare minimum, we need 2,880 money. I know we're going to need a little more because we need to buy some vibrant figments. I'm going to sell a couple more things, and that should be good. If I want to be safe, 3,000 or so should get you where you need. You can sell any of these, like ice cream, or ice dream cones, excuse me, and balloons. These balloons. Not the command balloons, the toy balloons. These we can sell pretty easily. We do not need these. There should be enough. So once you have that money, you're going to come over here. You're going to buy 1 balloon, 3 balloon res, 1 Thundara. Okay, we do actually need a little bit more money. So let's sell these ice cream cones. And you need, I'm going to double check just to make sure I'm not missing. Okay, so you need 3 rampant figments. We already have that. And we need 2 vibrant figments. So we're going to buy that. And then we are all set. Before we leave, we're going to do a quick menu. We're going to equip 2 Thundaras. Then we're going to go to the world map. And then we're going to drop from here. Generally, if possible, in DDD speedrunning, like if you have the choice, generally speaking, you want to drop from the world map just because there's less menuing to navigate through. So we're going to do that. And that's unfortunate. We are 1 droplet short of being able to get Magic Game level 1. That's unfortunate. Not the end of the world, but that is nice to have. For Sora, it will make his stuff faster, but we can do just fine without it. So that's what we're going to do. And now that we're Sora again, we have a small menu to do. We are going to put on Skull Noise. And the deck I use here is 2 Balloon Rise. And I'm tabbing around. I'm using L1, R1 to drop around the menu, just to clarify. So my deck here is 2 Balloon Rise, 2 Balloons, and a Thundara. That's what I go with. That's what I haven't tested, but this is what I believe is optimal for getting through the next couple of fights. And now we're going to leave the grid. We will have to come back and fight the boss later when we're a little better equipped with a much higher magic stat. Enemies should despawn on their own. And we just go to the world map. And we're heading over to City of Bells, finally. And this dive is pretty simple. I want to pick up these points. Again, as per usual, you want to avoid doing a combo attack as much as possible. You can hit 2 of those fish with 1 attack if you're feeling spicy. Unfortunately, you got a little trolled by the spacing there. You don't want to hit that, but it's fine. Because of that, I was able to get some extra points here. Generally, the cycles line up, so you don't really have time. Here you do have to do a full combo, actually, not get hit by those. I don't usually hit those rhinos either. This is a bit of a weird version of this dive. Here I generally go for the single strikes. If you want to play it safe, you can go for the Mega Flare, and I should have in this case, because I just got hit there. But if you're not unlucky like I just was, then the Kamui bats shouldn't lead you into those as long as you know what you're doing. And this should still get us an A rank in any case. Yeah, the auto-targeting can really screw you. It's unfortunate. And then to here, you want your balloon runners to be up first, and that's what we have, so that's good. And this is another big mob fight. So what I like to do here is I like to not dodge roll forward here. That's not very smart. I want to take care of that elephant, and then I like to try and spawn in the next wave, and then hit them all with the Thundara to do some damage real fast. I'm gonna hit you into those balloons, and it's not gonna work. That's interesting. Okay, that was a weird fight. Bro. Alright, that was silly. Balloon was probably gonna be the quickest way. That fight is a lot of improv. You want to take care of the elephant, and then because the elephant can despawn if you kill enemies in the wrong way. It's weird, and you want the experience. So you want to kill the elephant, and then you want to try and hit the next wave of the Thundara, because Thundara has this weird property where it'll do more damage the more things it hits. So just all these tiny enemies spawning in at once is a really good opportunity to use the Thundara. And then you want to, just do cleanup, and then you want to try and take care of the drill size as soon as they spawn in if you can, because they can do like multi-hits that really waste your time. But it's pretty random, and you're just gonna have to react to things, and that's fine. And that's how I chose to react to things on that attempt. And it wasn't my best showing, but hopefully that gives you an idea of how you want to be approaching that fight. Yeah, just jumping around. And generally dodge roll out of there. Jump off of the roof. And then around there, you might be able to do that dash earlier, but you want to dash into that cutscene trigger. One dodge roll into an air slide will get you into the town. And now we have another pretty random fight. Our goal here is to kill the 3 big flowers. So to start, I'm gonna do a dash into a jump. I'm gonna hit. And that was a little weird, but that's basically what you want to do. You want to do Keyblade hits into balloons, and that sort of keeps the guys stunned. Then you want to try and hit level 4. There I got lucky because Tamashi cast Sleep, which was convenient. But you want to toss out a Thunder and try and group things up so that you hit level 4. Then I'm going to get my balloons back up because I want to do basically the same thing on this next set of guys. Okay, I didn't get a hit in first. It popped this one up, which is usually okay. It's a little difficult to get the hit in because this one's a little more surrounded by enemies. I like to toss out a Thundara there sometimes just to see if I catch something. Looks like I got a couple of kills, which is nice. And yet, same strat. To do that. The balloon ride really isn't a great option for this fight, I find, because it tends to pop the big guys up into the air, and then it's impossible to hit them. 3 dodge rolls into an air slide is, I found, the best way to get out of that room. And we're not really killing anything else on the way out of here, so just a lot of jumping and bad slow motion collision, but don't worry about it. We do not have a cutscene trigger at the end of this time, so that was a bit of a messy way to do that. A little bit of potential tech you can go for here. So this is a loading zone. If we're holding towards the loading zone and we dash into it, we'll re-enter the next room. But if you start the dash and then release the stick, then you can actually wall kick off of it, which is potentially fast. It's a little precise. I don't really recommend going for it if you're not, like, really needing to squeeze every little bit of time save out. But it's a cool thing you can do. if you feel like showing off, like I often do. And I've got a couple of difficult rooms for movement coming up. A lot of doorways to try and wall kick off of, a lot of claustrophobic tunnels. I'd like to... Okay, that wasn't too bad, actually. That air slide was a bad idea, though. This is a cutscene trigger, but it won't cancel out the end of your animation for you. So generally you want to not be in the animation if possible when you enter that. Bit of a difficult door frame to get a wall kick off of, but that was pretty good, actually. I'd like to... Okay, that wasn't very good. Let me try and demonstrate a little better, because this room is pretty cool if you're right. You want to try and get a wall kick, like, past this tree, kick, like, there, and then dash, like... So you don't... You want to dash, like, when you're above that iron fence. That's generally what makes the spacing work out. But whatever. Point is, get into this room. However you need to. Then you do that same thing in the last room. This flow motion slam just kind of ends up being the best way to break these doors. And then make your way over to Esmeralda. And this will start the boss fight. Esmeralda has turned into a horrible monster. There she is. And you're just gonna start balloon res. I guess done here at the beginning, that's pretty convenient. These attacks have enormous hitboxes the size of small cities. Anyways, gonna try and lay a trap with my balloons. Hope he walks into them. It doesn't seem like he's taking the bait, which is a little unfortunate. Yeah, that fight is pretty random. Like you want to start balloon rush, and then after that point you kind of just make do with what you have. Goes down pretty fast. So, you know, just use commands. That's a real, like, just hit triangle tactical command spam fight. Yeah, we just don't really have a lot of control over the moves Wargirl decides to do, so do what you can. And then come back to Princess Paradise. Come to the amusement park. Whenever re-entering worlds, you want to be really careful that you're not mashing, or you'll accidentally enter the dive. And that wastes a lot of time. It takes like 15 seconds for the dive to start and for you to be able to quit out of it. So, you know, something to keep in mind. Don't get caught mashing or it will lead to a lot of time loss. As soon as you enter here, we had this new command slot, put a Thundara over it. Then you're going to equip Guardian Bell. And the way I have things set up, Balloon Red is at the top by default. That's what you want. Because that's how I like to open this fight. This fight is hard. This whole world is pretty hard, actually. These just Baki enemies really like to stun lock you and frame trap you and freeze you and stuff. Which makes it very difficult to deal with them efficiently. But there are some ways you have to deal with them. Generally, they have a hard time hitting you if you're above the ground. So I like to open this by jumping into a balloon ra to try and take one out early and quick-like. That haste is good. That will allow me to get out my balloon res a little faster. And then when the second wave spawns, you want to try and get out Thundaras. Base balloons are good for sort of protecting yourself. Okay, that was pretty mean. That was an example of a not great fight. And sometimes that's just gonna happen. But generally what I try to do is I use
Those
just
dream
balloon
eaters
resin
were
balloons for
pretending-
the first wave. And then as soon as the second wave spawns, I try and get towards the middle and catch them with Thundaras. To sort of clear them really quickly and then bring in the last wave with the 2 pandas. So yeah, that's, you know, you're gonna have to learn by doing on that one for sure. In any case, once that's done, you're gonna want to highlight your Thundaras because that's what you're gonna need next. And then you're gonna jump off this tower into this loading zone, and you have a little bit of grinding to do in this room. Movement in this room is a little bit weird because it's a lot of horizontal space. Come over here. I like to land in the middle of these guys. 2 Thundaras should take care of them. Then you want to highlight your Thundaras again. Get to this bit of the hallway. Want to land about here. Pop 2 Thundaras. Balloons take care of that guy. And you want to... Okay, I actually didn't need to do that balloon then. If you're like about to hit level 7 when you leave that hallway, you're in a pretty good shape. So we actually hit level 7, so that's good. And I enter this fight. And this is a cutscene where you do have to wait a little bit after the spinning heart goes away to skip. The timing I just did was pretty good. It's about what you want. This fight is weird. I'm going to open it with balloon res, and that's going to be another sort of improv fight. I really want to get rid of these bats as soon as possible. And then we got some guys grouping up down here, which is good. Okay, where are you? Okay, that was pretty lucky, I'd say. Okay, I'm gonna take care of you real quick. I want to try and take care of these bats. Story of my life. You want to be very careful about when you choose to jump in this fight. It tends to be pretty risky. And it can prevent you from getting hit, but it can also cause you to get hit. Like if you interrupt a panda out of its attack by bouncing the trampoline, then it can do a retaliation that can knock you out of a command. It's a whole thing. It's not a big improv fight. You want to, react to enemies that are grouped up by, trying to hit them with like balloons and Thundaras and stuff. And then balloon res are good for wiping out single enemies. That's probably should have said that a while ago. It's kind of how you want to think of a lot of these boss fights, or these mob fights, rather. Excuse me. Anyways, that's that. And now we have more grinding to do. We need to hit level 10 for the boss fight. So we're gonna kill the same ways we did on the way over here. We're gonna hit these guys with Thundaras. I like to try and do balloons to take care of these Jestabakis. A couple of bats just for safety can be nice. Doing the same thing. These prickle mains. One Thundara took care of them. Nice. I did not see what my experience was, so I'm gonna... Okay, that is way more experience than we need. At minimum, this is a cutscene trigger, by the way. At minimum, you need 172 experience to the next level, leaving this room. So already having level 9 is very good. And if you haven't quite hit that experience threshold, then you want to deal with some of those penguins. You want to just like focus on those first 2 and try and nuke them down as fast as possible. They get very annoying very fast. Yeah, what I did there is basically how you want to try and handle that. You throw out some Thundaras, throw out some balloons, get some quick kills, and then get out of there. I got caught mashing X again. That's a cutscene. All right. Anyways, I like to do 2 jumps around here. I don't know why my commands are on cooldown. That's weird. That's not supposed to happen.
Take this.
Normally I just pop some Thundaras there, but I guess we're doing that.
Thunder. Take this. Take
You know what? I guess that works. Maybe that's good, actually. Yeah, kill all those guys. Our XP is a little high. You need to have at least 599 experience to the next level before you, or after you kill that wave with the pandas. And that's level 10, and hopefully enough experience to hit another experience range later. And if you want to do some safer movement in this room, you'd menu here. I'm going to demonstrate the menu a little later, though. Because it allows you to avoid waiting for the room to load in. I do a dash into landing here, so I spend as little time in flow motion as possible, and then this is where I generally do the menu. You're going to fill up your deck with your remaining balloon res. That was a bit of a weird way to do that, but that's fine. And then if you want a cure for these coming fights, you can replace that Thundara with a cure, but I'm not going to do that. Delay this dash as much as possible, if you can, to get low enough that you get sucked into the whirlpool. Delay the air slide a little bit here, that allows you to avoid ledge grabbing. And this is another cutscene trigger, so you can just dash or jump into it. Okay, you want to air slide through that, and then you want to just spam your balloon res. Yeah, him flying that far away is pretty bad. That's not what you want. It's a bit of an unusual pattern. Gonna guard that, just my HP is a little low. This is a fight where you are actually kind of in danger of dying. The hitbox for that attack is huge, so I'm playing things a little bit safe. He will always do that as soon as he enters his DM phase. Luckily, he should be about ready to enter the final phase of the fight. Yep, that's what animation is. So if possible, when he starts doing this, you want to position yourself here, as close to this part of the arena as possible. If you're right in front of this, then you can pop a Balloonra, and it might hit enough of the ice to require you to only need 2 hits to break it. More likely, you'll need to do a 3-hit combo like I just did, which is fine. And then you can cancel out of the last hit with the reality shift. You don't need to wait for the animation to end. Just activate the reality shift. And then you gotta do this dumb minigame. Not quite a bathroom break, unless you're able to take your controller with you. But it's not terribly involved. Once you start shooting, you gotta move from one side of the screen to the other. Gonna do that a second time. And then, as he's firing off the 3rd wave, you should be mashing X as you move across, and then that should finish the fight. And that's that. That's Chill Clopster for you. Got some cutscenes to skip. And now we are returning to the grid to fight Rinsler real quick. And ideally you want to make sure your command deck is over an active Balloonra, which it is. just because we want to start spamming balloon run as soon as possible. It's something that shouldn't really be a problem because of the way Chill Clopster ends, but that is something you generally want to be thinking about, is making sure you are hovering over the right command as you enter a fight. Winslow can hit you out of your balloon run, which is annoying. He can also hit you out of the recovery animation once the balloon runs are already out, and that's actually rather convenient if that happens. But generally, you're just gonna kind of shit on Winslow like that. You do want to, you know, just be careful about that one thing. But Winslow goes down like a sack of potatoes. Not too terribly difficult. And there's a potential one-framer we can go for here. If you mash the start button, it would have happened right there as the camera started to pan. If you mash hard enough, then you can open the pause menu before the animation plays and go to Flick Rush, and that ends up saving time over doing what we're doing now. But ultimately, it's not a super big deal if you don't get it or anything. And we got a menu here. You're going to put on the Ferris Gear Keyblade. We need a little bit of extra strength. And just for my purposes, I'm going to put on a Drop Me Not, actually. Because my gauge is getting a little bit low from standing around in a couple of spots. But really what you're going to do is you're going to put on 2 Thundara. So if you had if you had Cure instead of Thundara, you'd probably have to replace that or do something else. But you want 2 Thundaras on is the important point. Then you're just going to walk off here into a wall kick. You can dash into that pole. I want to use these rails. Be moving towards your Thundaras because you want to start this next fight with those. And as soon as you skip this cutscene, you're gonna pop both of those immediately, and that should spawn in the second wave, and then you're going to drop a comet, which for our for Type A commands or Type A control scheme means you're able to just hold L2 and then hit the square button. And this cutscene, you can watch it if you want to lose time, but you can cancel it out even as it starts by just mashing X, and that gets you through it pretty quickly. And that ends the fight as long as you have that second wave spawned. And then because I hit level 11, I can do this menu right now. I will show you where the enemies you would kill as a backup are in just a second, but for now I'm going to do this menu here. We are putting Guardian Bell back on, and then we are putting on Cure and 2 balloons. If you want to be, and I'm going to shortcut the Cure also. I'll leave it here actually. If you want to be optimal, you put your 3rd balloon on this slot. I do not recommend doing this, basically unless you're like going for a world record caliber time. It's not worth it. This boss rush is actually quite dangerous. You want this Cure on, and I'm going to leave it on for the purpose of demonstrating the fight. Yeah, that's the menu. Once that's done, you will just head to the post office. These owls right here, you want to still have Thundaras on your deck, so if you didn't hit level 11, you'd save this menu for later. And you just pop 2 Thundaras, it'll kill both of them, it'll get you to level 11. But otherwise, you just head over here, you do the menu before you do this save point warp I'm about to do. Nope. World map, thank you. And we're going to the first district. And I like to, generally when I have a deck with both balloons and balloon rows, I like to start out with balloons just because they come off a cooldown faster. Just better DPS for the very start of the fight. He's generally going to open with that. So I guard, get out my 2 balloons. You don't really have to respect that attack, especially not if you have Cure.
Take this. Take this. Yeah.
And I believe the positioning is at about here.
Take this.
Wargoyle is going to spawn next, and you want to have
Take this.
these balloons where he will spawn directly on top of them.
Yeah. Take this. Yeah.
And Wargoyle is a real bastard. That was pretty smooth, but Wargoyle is the main reason you want
Take this.
is the main reason you want balloons on your deck. Or because you want Cure on your deck, rather. Because Wargoyle actually pretty hitty hard. Wargoyle was pretty nice to me that time.
Take this. Yeah.
You will get reality shifts, likely on...
Take this.
that was a very good Chart Lobster also. That could be a lot more annoying, but generally not as dangerous, just annoying. If you don't have Cure, it can get really dangerous. If you had a really bad second fight. Yeah, I just made that look really easy. You do want the Cure on for that. Because you can get some really mean patterns, and you can get hit out of your commands. It's a mess. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else I want to say about that. Yeah, just that that's harder than it looks, and if the fight isn't going as well as that did, and you're practicing, you're wondering why, then that's the reason we have a Cure on. Just, you know, respect Wargoyle in particular. Wargoyle can really mess you up. In any case, once that's done, you can drop back to Riku. And ideally, you would have 80 droplets, so you can do Magic Gain level 2. Again, we're a little short, so we're just going to do Magic Gain level 1. Not the end of the world. Better for showcasing how we deal with that situation for the purpose of a tutorial. Again, don't want to be caught mashing, so like to visit this world instead of dive. And now we're going to jump over to the save point. And should be able to just hit down to get to the back streets. If you don't have this, it means you forgot to grab the save point earlier. And you'll just have to hoof it over here manually. I like to do wall kick off of that corner, because it's sort of a 45-degree angled wall. It's pretty convenient, as you get through pretty fast. You can try and land in front of this loading zone, then walk not in that direction. Okay, that was weird. Walk up and to the right, I guess, before starting that wall kick. Then you want to kind of trap these rhino guys in the hallway with those balloons. And then after you use those thunders, you want to let them come off of cooldown, then avoid using them if you can. We really want them for a couple of enemies you need to kill right after this fight. We can hit level 10, that's what we want. That's what we expect. Okay, so here you're going to dodge forward. We're already over our Thunders. We can just pop 2 of them. That gives us just a little bit of extra experience we need for this route. Come on over to the 2nd district. And then 2 flow motion jumps should let you clear that rooftop and enter the 3rd district to finish the visit. Alright, this is another one framer you can go for to return to Flick Rush. I didn't get it. I don't think it's faster on my hardware, which is a base model PS4. Doing that, going to Flick Rush, and then re-entering the world map might be faster on like PC or on a PS5 or something. I'm not sure, but it's pretty hard to get anyways. So more likely than not, you're just gonna sit through that animation. First stop is Symphony of Sorcery. Always for Riku. Regardless of category, we will be coming here first. Because there's no reason not to, frankly. This dive isn't too terribly complicated. I like to go for this laser spin, use it immediately. I like to avoid grabbing that thing with the Mega Flare, because I do actually want to use a second laser spin later. Single hits on those fish, and then after that, you're gonna start the laser spin, try and take out as many of these ghost guys as possible. If you grab the Mega Flare, then you just use 2 Mega Flares there. I was supposed to grab a Mega Flare before this wave, but I guess we're doing this. Which is a way you can do this, and it is optimal if it goes well, but the Mega Flare is a little bit safer, and I prefer to go for that. Anyways, now we're in Symphony of Sorcery. We have Overcast here, which is a good meaning. This is the one world where it doesn't matter. Anyways, just to show off some potential route differences, safety strat you might want to go for, I'm going to come back here, grab this Dream Candy. It's a little slow, but if you want to make some grinding later on a little bit easier, that's something you can feel free to grab for yourself. Then just gotta turn around and enter this score here. Another room where you spawn a little bit above the ground. Unfortunately, too far from the wall to do an immediate air slide and have it be useful. I didn't... For some reason, some of my inputs got dropped, actually. But, actually, first of all, without touching the stick, do just a jump into an air dash or an air slide. And because Riku does not have a mid-air block equipped, he will be able to wall kick off of the reality shift, which is pretty neat. And, that's what I'm supposed to do, too, off of that one. I forgot about that one. So now it's in the tutorial, so you can go back and check for yourself. But for most of the reality shifts in this world, most of the rhythm patterns you get, you want to skip one of the inputs in order to get the optimal animation. There are a couple of patterns where you want to miss 2, and the pattern I got in that last room showcased some of that. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, if you get the 3 orchestra hits, that's optimal. If you hit more than you need, it just plays a longer animation, doesn't do anything for you. Exactly like this reality shift, you want to make sure you grab that elixir I just grabbed. That's very important. I'm getting wombo comboed, which is super fun. That happens sometimes. Don't worry too much about it. Like to do that dash when I'm sort of even with those leaves on the wall. Excuse me. That's a Ryu Dragon recipe. Grab it. You want that. Come over here. Air slide onto this rail if you're feeling spicy. Feel like eating 30 seconds potentially to falling off because the game is bad. I generally don't go for it, but you can. Fortunately, you do need to do your flow motion a little low to the ground in that room in order to do it optimally. You saw I mistimed one of my dashes and had to land, which is a bit unfortunate. It happens sometimes. This world is always a movement showcase because there's no like actual fights you have to do, so doing this world will get you very familiar with the nuances of the flow motion movement. one last reality shift, and then we can head to the boss. Who's not a real boss. But we do have to beat it in order to progress the video game. Yes. The reason I say it's not a real boss is because this is just a dive. Which conveniently means it doesn't matter what our stats are or what our keyblade is or anything. Which means we can just conveniently get our last command slot and a really good keyblade out of this. The sequence of moves Chernobog does will always be the same. The patterns won't be. Whenever he summons like that, like pattern of fire, like the bottom left or right corner is always safe. Whenever he's throwing fireballs, you can sort of kite them around you. He's going to summon phantoms here. You want to sort of kite those two. I wasn't quite successful there, but only one grabbed him, which isn't too bad. Phantoms grab you, shake them off with the dodge and deflect. That's what I was talking about. You want to sort of kite these fireballs around. The timing for your diving strikes fighting Chernobog is actually going to be faster than the regular rhythm for like the actual dives for some reason. I don't know why it's faster, but it will help you go faster. On this third cycle, I like to stay at the top of the screen until the phantoms spawn in and move downward. I find it helps me avoid that wave of fireballs that comes down from the top of the screen. No phantoms. Sometimes there'll be like convenient holes in the formation of the phantoms you can just slip through. So it's kind of nice when that happens. Getting pretty good spawns on this third wave here. And those 5 kills just gotta react. And that's Chernobog. A far cry from the KH1 fight, but you know, it is what it is. Yep, that's counterpoint. That's the whole reason we're here. And now we're going to Country of the Musketeers. This world has 2 potential big RNG time swings. Sty Boss is one of them. I'm going to try to show you how to do a 2 cycle on the second half of this fight. It is very difficult and a little bit luck dependent. And ultimately a 3 cycle will also get you an A rank. So it's not the end of the world if you miss it. But it is like 40 seconds faster roughly to get the 2 cycle. So if possible, you want to try and go for it. This first half is basically just like the fight we did as Sora, but a little bit shorter, mercifully. So you want to do the same thing. I went for that double hit, I got it. Which means just saving a little bit of time there. Got the early hit too. Right, and now we have those 4 orbs that you just saw that we need to destroy. We're of course going to have to wait for him to do his attacks. It's the same every time. So, you know, just gonna have to wait them out, dodge through them, whatever. Just gonna do this. And then you want to start with the top left, so you want to hide behind a boulder in that area. And then mash your attack button. Okay, and that's the pattern I wanted to see. That's good. And then he's going to do the same pattern. You want to only break 1 orb to get like the ideal like 2 cycle setup so that he does the same pattern. If you break 2 or more orbs, then he does slightly longer versions. And then the rocks you have to hide behind here will move a little bit. Okay, so we want to start with top left. We have a pretty convenient placement here, but if there isn't, then You'd want to err on the side of going like to the top rather than like to the right. Otherwise, you're more likely to target bottom right. And 1, 2, 3. You want to kind of watch. Okay, this is good. You want to kind of watch him bobbing up and down. When he's coming up the 4th time, you want to start pause buffering. You can see there's a reticle here, which means that I have paused like the first couple of frames of vulnerability here after the rocks break. So I'm gonna mash the ever-loving crap out of the X button. And it didn't work. Alright, that's fine. I got unlucky and Riku didn't continue the second combo. And that basically kills the 2-cycle down in the water. It means you get to show off the 3-cycle, which is fine. He does a longer attack here. 1, 2, and 3. And now the rocks are going to move like I was saying, so you have to move with them a little bit. But then there's only 1 hit left and you just finish it off. As long as you get a pretty quick 3-cycle, which we did here, then you'll get A rank and like you're fine to just continue the run. It's not even an issue. And you get your 0 Graviga, which is also important, actually, as it turns out. Alright, dodge roll off to the right a little bit and then open the menu. Again, there's a little bit of a delay before you can open the menu, loading into a new room, so you do want to just get some movement in first. We're dodging off to the right because there's a dream candy off to the right side of the opera house. If you're not grabbing that for whatever reason, then you would go to the left, but I recommend just grabbing it. Actually, let me check. Okay, I'm definitely going to want to grab that. The link gauges are pretty low. So, you're going to go to Create Spirit, and you want to go to Ryu Dragon. You want your crispy hovering of Ryu Dragon. Hit L1, then hit X, and then you will make a Ryu Dragon using the pieces to make a Meow. And that's Spirit Creation Glitch. It is that easy. There's no timing to it. You just have to do the inputs in that sequence and it'll work every time. And this allows us to get Super Glide, which will change Sora's movement pretty drastically for the rest of the run. Okay, and we see... Okay, so Tamaship has 0 out of 3 hearts, which is bad. We want our spirits to have at least 1 affinity. So instead of doing the water barrel to get the link points you need for Ryu Dragon, I'm going to do an option play. I'm going to do Candy Goggles. Because Candy Goggles give affinity as well as link points. Okay, Ryu Dragon got enough points. We're going to grab Super Glide real quick. Okay, and Tamaship has 1 affinity. Swap Ryu Dragon back out. Meow has 0, but we don't care about that. Go to ability so we can get to commands quickly. And we want to have 5 Balloonras, 2 Thundaras, and a Mini. Preferably in that order, at least in my experience. Then we want to put on High Jump. And then we're going to put on Counterpoint. And that's the entire menu. Want to try and wall kick off of these plants. It's pretty tough, as you can see. I don't know how I didn't get it any one of those times. I'm gonna... Why is it not working? That was weird. Okay. Anyways, you can jump from this pole. Probably want to do a dash into a jump, actually. This chest has a dream candy. Grab that. Then come up here. You want to get to your Thundaras and kill these guys. Okay, I thought something was still alive. Something, that was weird. That was a little suboptimal. Do some movement that's better than that. Want to navigate back to your Thundaras before entering this room, because we will need to use both of them again. Doing a little bit of grinding to hit the level we need for endgame. Thundara. Thundara. Then we want to kill this lion. Doesn't always go that smoothly, but that was pretty nice. You love to see it. And then on our way to get here, we want to navigate to Mini. Alright, now I'm going to try and go step by step through this, because this next strat I'm about to do is actually pretty specific. It is very cool and it is consistent if you know how to do it, but it is also pretty tough. And you're probably going to want to practice this if you're going for this strat, which I recommend, because it's cool and consistent. So you want to make your way over here. You want to do a flow motion slam to break this. Off to my left here, in that like corner of the room, there's a spawn of enemies. You want to be sure not to spawn those in. I'm not going to demonstrate because I don't feel like resetting the room, but there's a spawn that you want to avoid. Then you want to activate that pole spin. Then you want to land about here, placing yourself between these two pulleys, sort of behind them, so that this Beagle Boy comes towards you. It's going to do this attack animation. As he's finishing it, you're going to use Mini and swap out Tamaship. Tamaship can cancel out the Mini with its sleep spells. You don't want that. Bring in Yellow, make sure that doesn't happen. So you're going to hit the Mini, it's going to affect, you're going to lock on, you're going to hold forward while mashing your camera reset button, and then he's just going to die. And then you're going to use your Thunders up here. Keyblade swings to finish that guy off, because we still need a little more experience. And then that's room number 1. Now you want to make your way over here. And once you get over this mist stuff, you want to stay high. You want to do a slam in this corner. The Beagle Boy is going to do the same thing where he sort of comes out swinging. You want to wait for that attack animation to end, because if you don't, then the Mini won't work. He like has iframes through it. So you're waiting, gonna walk forward, do Mini, hold forward while mashing the camera reset again. Wait a little bit while your Mini recharges. Do a flow slam around that point of the door frame. And you want to, the spacing here is particularly important. If the Beagle Boys run up against the wall and they always run directly away from you with their Mini, then you won't be able to do the strat. Doing like the camera mashing doesn't work. So you want to make sure that this Beagle Boy runs like down the hallway such that he doesn't get caught on the walls. And then you do the same thing, and that's that, easy peasy. You can walk into that next room and pop some Thunders if you want to kill some guys, but we just hit level 15 just fine without it. And level 15 is the level up we wanted. And now we enter the Holy Moly fight. I'm going to try and demonstrate the DM skip here, but it's also pretty luck dependent. You want to get him to about this amount of health. Okay, I think he's going to DM. Yeah, that's fine. You want to try and get him to about 2.5 bars of health. And this is going to take a while, I'm going to pause it. You want to try and get him to about 2.5 bars of health. Use 2 Thundaras to stagger him, and then go back into Balloon Res, and that should, or it might stagger him just long enough for you to kill him before he starts to DM. It's pretty unlikely you'll get it. If you do, it saves a whole boatload of time. If you don't get it, you're going to come back here. You're going to open this chest. I guess you pop a Balloon Red too, like you're going to be here a while. I'm going to swap back in Tom Sheep actually to get some... Coinbat's dead. That's not good. I don't even know how that happens. Guess we got gangbanged. Yeah, you'd really like for your Tom Sheep to be getting link points. And this DM is a good opportunity for that to happen. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, though. I think I saw... You want to be paying attention to the mini-map after DM to know where Holy Moly is gonna spawn. You can dash into him in slow motion like that to stun him. And then, okay, Fendar will kill. And then you just finish off the fight. And you do want to be paying attention to the link gauges of your spirits as you end the fight, because it's gonna change how you do this next menu. Ideally, both your Komoe and your Tamaship will have full link, but that is not a particularly likely scenario, and you want to be prepared for the alternative. Anyways, you're going to drop. You're not going to have enough drop points to do anything, so just don't take any drop bonuses. We do have to do a menu here on the world map real quick. So you're going to edit your deck. Gonna put on a 5th Balloonra, and then if your spirits had full link gauge, you would be able to put on a slow here. That is not the case for us, so we are going to put our dream candies here. And then the other thing you're going to want is an elixir. Now, our Tamaship has less than half link. If both of our spirits had more than half link, then be able to use just one dream candy at the start of this next fight. Because we don't, I'm just going to use the elixir instead, and that'll make things a little bit easier. But in any case, because of our current scenario, this is what we have. The alternative would be a slow instead of the dream candies. And you're also going to put on high jump and super glide, and we're going to put on knockout punch. And then we're going to head to Country of the Musketeers. This dive is actually kind of tough to get an A rank on. I do the full combos on these guys because they're real dickheads. So do that. And you can't go for the single strikes against these guys. And unless you bonk, you won't line up to get that those big points there, so I just don't. And once the Drac cracks come in here, I use a Mega Flare. I try and avoid using a Mega Flare for the rest of the dive. If a bunch of Eagles are going for their laser attacks, then I'll just use it. I just bonked, which is pretty not good. Alright, go for some little bit of extra points here. Hopefully we can get the A rank here still. Okay, we're good. Alright, that's more or less what you want that to look like, except for that one bonk. Here, we want to use a comet immediately, hence the dream candies and the elixirs. So again, it's because of the situation I'm in, I'm just going to use the elixirs, and then use the comet immediately. And then while I'm waiting for my commands to reload, I'm going to use my dream candies, and then we just use Balloon Rise to take out the rest of these guys. And that's that. Then you want to make sure your deck is over an active Balloonra. And then you want to talk to Mickey. You can move the cursor down before Sora's text bubble actually pops up. I didn't quite do it there, but that does save you some time. This fight is just Balloonra spam. It is actually literally all you're doing here. As long as you're getting them out fast, then this guy here won't be able to retaliate.
Take this. Take this. Take this.
Alright, and there is a potential strat convergence coming up in this next room. This is not... Let me just try and explain both strats. So there's a strat you can do in this next room where you use a comet to get the experience you need. It's a little suboptimal. I prefer to do something different. That's a little more optimal if it goes well. But I'm going to try and demonstrate basically both possibilities. Where you do this menu is going to be different depending on which one you're doing. If you're going to do the comet strat, you do this menu after you drop the comet and after you toss your dream candies. But I'm going to do the menu now. You're going to put on 3 balloons here over your balloon res, and then these bottom slots are going to be slow and mini, preferably in that order. Anyways, now I have Super Glide. I'm going to Super Glide over here. You do need 2 dream candies at this point to make this strat work. I only have 1, so in my situation I would need to grab this backup, which is down here. Finish them back up. And then if you were going to do the comet strat, you would spawn these guys, and then you'd use the comet, you'd skip the animation, you'd toss your 2 dream candies, and then you'd do the menu. But for my purposes, I'm gonna not do that. You want to just sort of walk forward. Use your slow, use your balloons. Okay, the goal is we want to have 1008 experience to the next level. We just ended that with like 741, so that Zolifant gave us more than we needed, actually. But ultimately, we take those. And I'm just gonna... I haven't been showcasing the Super Glide movement super well. But you should be using Super Glide as much as possible at this point in the run. You can just Super Glide up this staircase. When you see the wall up here, you can wall kick off. I did that a little early. It's supposed to be able to just... Let me try and demonstrate that, actually. So you're going to be Super Gliding, then jump off of here, and then you can Super Glide the rest of the way up the railing, or up the ramp. Alright, and you want to be entering this... I should have mentioned this. You want to be entering this with slow highlighted, so I can mash it out immediately, and again, swap out your Tamaship. I like to position myself about here, and then do my mini. Fuck. Okay, that was really bad, actually. Okay, I should still be able to make this work. Ideally, you want to get 2 of them in the first one, but ultimately, 2 cycle is still pretty good. Getting all 3 of them in 1 mini is really hard. Because you have to reset the camera constantly, it gets really hard to keep track of where they all are in the room. But you do have enough time to kill them all in one go, and potentially pick off the final one with balloons, so you don't have to do a second mini. But having to do 2 minis is still pretty fast. As I'm leaving here, so I'll like just do a dodge roll. Okay, not that. Okay, I'm fat fingering the wrong things. I spawn in here. I typically will do a dodge roll into bringing Tamaship back, because I need Tamaship back. Picking the first option again. And then we're just Super Gliding. Next time we'll need a command that'll be slow, so you might as well menu it here. I like to glide over here. Get to about this point and then jump so I can get up these stairs. The movement in this room is actually kind of precise. You want to come off to this side so that you touch the ground and then sort of gets pulled to the ground. So we can just get right into this room and immediately drop the comet. And if your experience is right, you should hit level 13. If not, you'll have to grind for it outside of the opera. And I can just go right into a glide, which is as low to the ground as possible, because again, we want to touch the ground so that staircase pulls us down. And again, I'm going to dodge roll into swapping out my Tamaship. Top option gives us to the Opera. Moving out to the side to avoid that Tyrantorex. And now we are going into a Beetle Boys and Pete fight. This Beetle Boys fight is going to be the same as in the tower. It's going to be a little harder because they're going to be more spread out because the arena is bigger, but you want to treat it basically the same way. You know, keep them away from the walls. Mash out slow to start. Getting the one cycle here is basically impossible. I've never gotten it anyways, but 2 cycles should be pretty easy. And then after the third one is that I like to wait a little bit before I start doing these reality shifts. Once you do the first one, people will start tossing bombs, which can mess up your life a little bit. If you see the portrait with the gold border early, then that makes it pretty easy to get these reality shifts. Otherwise, it can be a little finicky. I tend to mash for them if I'm trying to get one of those. Once you throw the third one, drop balloons. And then I'm going to try and get into something more resembling what the loop is supposed to be. Because bombs are messing me up a little bit. Okay, this has gotten a little weird, but we're gonna make it work, probably. I'm kind of in the thick of it. I'm gonna explain what's going on in just a second here. We're basically trying to DM skip. As you can see, actually, Pete is trying to run towards the part of the arena where he tries to DM. So by doing more or less what I just did, generally the loop should be slow, your 3 balloons, and then a balloon and then repeat when the slow comes off cooldown. And that makes it a little cleaner if you can get it. But you want to, keep a set of balloons in between Pete and that corner of the stage he was running to. And if he's slowed, and like your spacing is right and your timing is right, then he'll keep getting staggered and he won't be able to get there in time before he reduces his health to 0. And that's basically what you want that fight to look like. That was pretty solid. You do have to be... The bombs are the one thing that can mess you up, because if you hit him out of throwing the bomb, he will still drop the bomb. And the hit stun for that is quite long, and it can hit you out of your commands. It hit me out of my balloons a couple of times. It's a whole thing. Anyways, here's a dive. Can get these 3 flowers here at the beginning. I like to do a full combo after I've hit a couple of those guys individually. Let's get to here. I hang out around the bottom right for most of it, and then swing up towards the end. Use the laser spin to start taking care of these guys. Auto targeting will mess you up if they're not all dead after a certain point. Yeah, like that. And then you're going to want to fly through 2 of these rings of big points. And then one of these little rings off to the side, and that should give you plenty of points. Not a terribly complicated dive, luckily. And now we are gearing up for some of the harder fights in the run, harder boss fights anyways. I've got a menu. I'm going to equip Collision Magnet and Zero Graviga. Not in that order. That order, right. That's what I usually do. And then 5 Balloon Res. That's what you want. You can put on a Cure if you want. I don't. I don't find it necessary for this fight. And then you're just going to put on All for 1. Then you can just dodge roll over to this guy. And now we're gonna do a lot of super gliding. Same deal as the reality shifts in Riku's Symphony of Sorcery. We want to intentionally miss one hit for most of these patterns. Gets us to the cutscene just slightly faster. Here I neutral jump into super glide to get to this rail. Dash over here, get back into your super glide. And this is a rail over here, so land on it. No avoiding that one. And then you'll automatically jump at the end. Wall kick offers sort of that alcove in the wall there. And then glide over to this reality shift. And then coming out of this, I'm gonna do like a maybe like 80-75% height jump into a wall kick to the left. And that should give me just enough height to clear that in one jump. It didn't for some reason, but that's fine. Should have been slightly higher, I guess. Okay, glide for a little bit, and then just let the wind take you. Once you get close to here, jump into a wall kick, into a jump. And get this going. And you want to just... I generally dodge roll away as soon as possible just because you might get stun locked. I try and have that tree canopy push me down. Same with that archway. Drop a little bit to get under this cloud. And now we are going to come to back here. Sort of use the patterns on the ground to align myself. We can miss 2 on this pattern. Most of the patterns in this room, in fact, if memory serves. Now after this, we're gonna walk off to the right and then wall kick off the ledge. And then do a like half height jump. Yep, missed 2 there. And that allows us to land directly on the platform without having to fall slowly after a higher slow motion jump. And then I just... camera tends to get weird if you move immediately after some cutscenes, so there I just don't hold the stick, I just jump into super glide immediately, and then I start moving Sora around with the stick. Alright, now we're going to fight Spellikin. And we're going to be spamming dashes on this rail. Whenever you get those purple orbs, you want to sort of jump and then double back to make sure you don't get hit by the second wave there. Being real mean with those. It's not really the attack you want to see. You want to see the meteor. Because you can just jump over that. Yeah, like that. There we go. And just keep spamming. You'll hit him eventually. Now you want to do a Balloonra into a Zero Graviga. You can do 3 Balloonras now. Then you're going to do a Collision Magnet. And now you're gonna have to wait to see what happens. Okay. This is pretty rough. Okay. The Collision Magnet can pull Spellkin out of any attack. The Zero Graviga can hit Spellkin out of any attack except the Warp, which is why you have to be a little more careful with how you use the Zero Graviga. Okay, also, summoning these guys is pretty bad. Okay, I did get haste, which means I can spam Collision Magnet a little bit now, which is very good. Except I didn't for some reason. Alright, he's close to death, so I'm just gonna do a Balloon Rush. Okay. That fight is hard. There's no way around it. That fight is just really hard in this category. Because we don't have very many attack hastes, we don't really get to use our Collision Magnet very much, which is unfortunate because it allows us to get really consistent openings. The Zero Graviga allows for much longer openings, but you have to be a lot more careful about how you use it. So make sure you catching spell kill the Zero Graviga when he's not trying to teleport, otherwise you'll just waste it. And make sure you don't get hit out of either the Zero Collision or the Zero Graviga or the Collision Magnet, because that's not good either. Yeah, it's a tough fight. That's when you're probably gonna want to practice. Overcast makes that one a lot better. Unfortunately, we didn't get it this run. It happens. In any case, once that's done, get through it. You gotta come to the world that never was. And now it is time for my arch nemesis, Queen Buzzerfly, but worse this time. Patterns are a lot more random this time, and the one cycle is also a lot harder. We are getting the bad pattern to start. But gonna deal with this the same way. Gonna do a full combo to break the jewel on her forehead.
Here we go.
And then we're gonna try to hit these gems on her back. If she's moving side to side like this, it gets really hard. And we missed it. Yeah, that's fine. It means I hopefully get to show off the other way of dealing with these Buzzerflies if I get the better pattern. I did not. Okay. I'm not gonna take time to like try and restart to demonstrate, but if they do the attack where they like link up and like form a line to move at you, then there's a quick kill you can get. If you watch runs, you'll see people do it. Okay, and 2 cycle is fine. You really don't want to get a 3 cycle though. Alright. If she's being really mean, you want to kind of lead your shots and hope she walks into your hitbox and then potentially get a combo like that. 2 cycles still gets you A rank, so that's acceptable. And now we have Dive Wing for Sora, which is very good, excuse me. Not having Dive Wing for Sora is actually not the end of the world in this category, but it's certainly not optimal. It is a much bigger deal for Riku if he doesn't have Dive Wing. So you really want to make extra sure that you get all your A ranks as Riku. But if you miss like one A rank on a dive that isn't particularly important for any other reason on Sora, then usually it's not the end of the world. In any case, you drop there, it's forced for story reasons, whatever. Now you get to play as Riku. This dive doesn't have any enemies, which is nice. Leaving that initial section with like 230 points will usually be okay. Just follow the path I'm taking. And this A-rank shouldn't be super hard. There's no enemies, there's no targeting system to mess you up, so this is just pure movement optimization. I like that a lot about this dive, actually. And you should hit the 1300 coming out of that tunnel. Then you just make your way to the end. Alright, and now we have the big weather RNG to deal with. But regardless of what our RNG is, we are going to go to the shop. We no longer need Collision Magnet, we no longer need Zero Graviga. We also no longer need Thundara, so we can sell one of those, actually. We need 2,000 money, and we got it. So, so you can do R2 twice, and then R1. That gets you directly to Kiraga. Buy 2 of them. And then, if Riku has Overcast immediately, which you would know because it would say 1.3 in the bottom, which it doesn't, it says 1.6. It says 1.3, then you would just do Riku's World That Never Was all the way up through Ansem 2, and then once you're in Memory Skyscraper, you'd drop, do the Xemnas fight, and then you'd return, you'd be force dropped anyways, and then you'd do Young Xehanort and Ventus. That is not the most uncommon, but most of your runs you are going to be doing some drop cycling here. And what you want... Oh! We got good luck. Okay, this is the ideal for Riku anyways. The real ideal is having Overcast for everything. But you want Riku... You want to be Riku and you want to see Overcast in this slot, because again, we went over this with the Bargain Flurry stuff, but just to reiterate, this is the weather that Riku will have next, and we really want Overcast as Riku specifically. So this is great. We don't have to waste time drop cycling to demonstrate. We can just go. It is possible to do final fights without Overcast. Like, you can get through it, but it makes Ansem 2 in particular a lot worse. If you're new, I recommend just doing the drop cycling. In any case, we now Sora. We're going to equip Dive Wing. And we're going to equip 2 Kiragas. And that's it. And now we're going to flow motion jump up the side of these buildings, moving along them. And then at this point, you're going to initiate a super glide, come over to this blue building over here. You don't want to drop out of the super glide too early. I recommend playing it safe, because once you've started a super glide, you cannot do an air slide. You either have to like start super glide again or fall to the ground. So if you miss the edge of that platform, then you just have to fall all the way to the ground before having to slowly flow motion jump up to get back up. So you want to make extra sure you land on that building, and then you just do the movement you saw me do, whatever. You can do an air slide to cancel your momentum upward, which is a small little optimization thing. And then just jump up these buildings, walk into this cutscene trigger ideally. I like to land and then I try to dodge roll into these reality shifts. That one didn't work, but that's not a super big deal. Yeah, you have 3 like slices through the chains to do all of these. It really doesn't, because they're just environmental interactions. We don't care about doing them in one slice unless it's fast. So use all 3 of them. They're all available to you. And this pattern is just easiest to do it with 2. Generally, you'll be doing 2 slices. There's one pattern in Riku's World That Never Was you can clear with just 1 mashing out at the beginning if you're lucky. But generally, you'll be doing 2, and then there's a couple you'll do on bosses. But the boss pattern is just inherently harder, so you'll need to be a little more careful and use all 3 slices. But in any case, we're just super gliding. To deal with this hill, I like to super glide up along the edge of this rail, and then at the top I hop on. Yeah. Wall kick there to drop to the ground, get right back into my super glide. And now we're just heading into the Xemnas fight. Got some cutscenes to skip. And you want to come up here, you want to try and keep your spirits alive, so I'm going to use a Kiraga here. Past, like, that opening, past, like, you know, anything with Xemnas is throwing buildings at you shouldn't really have to worry too much about keeping your spirits alive, but at least there you do want to keep an eye on it. And now you're just gonna spam Balloon Row. Xemnas is being pretty nice. Xemnas can be a lot more aggro and like make it really hard for you to get your Balloon out. But this is going pretty well so far. But you know, we have cures for a reason. Be prepared to use them. I'm gonna probably cure if you're like at half health or so. And ideally you won't be in the middle of an attack animation when he DMs. That makes it take longer to get into it. But he is throwing buildings again, so we're keeping an eye on our spirit's health. One of them healed, probably Meow Wow, so we get to delay using a Kiraga for a bit. I'm going to use one now, though. And we are not going to activate this reality shift. If you do, Xemnas enters phase 2 and then cannot be staggered. You do not want that. It's not worth it. Just let the building hit you in the face. It's fine. And then go back into your Balloon spam. Okay, I'm gonna cure because I was at below half health. Like I was saying, that's kind of where you should be worried. When he does that attack where he puts the ring of lasers around you, you do want to be extra careful to guard that. Even if you're at like mostly full health or maybe at full health, it is possible for that to kill you. And that's a dead Xemnas. I'd say you either probably want to air slide out of that, realistically speaking. Just so you don't have to time it as precisely. Anyways, that's Xemnas. And a lot of cutscenes to skip. Now Riku. We have Overcast. And we're ready to go. Now for these orbs, for the first one, I like to do a slam, 1-2 into Balloon Ra, and to a reality shift. It's a little safer to do Balloon Ra into the 2 Keyblade hits, at least on this first one. But doing it the way I just did allows you to cancel out of the Balloon Ra end lag with the reality shift. So it's just a little more optimal. Just make your way down here. Dash along this rail. Want to be pretty close to the orb when you start your Keyblade hit, otherwise you'll do like the gap closer and that's a little slow. So spacing does matter there. Fall through the hole. We're just gonna do Keyblade swings, and sometimes a full combo will trigger the reality shift. Not always, though. I wasn't expecting it that time. Otherwise, I could have canceled out of it. Usually, you'll need to do one more hit. Now you're going to come over to this chest, and this has double flight. And now we're going to menu, put on Dive Wing. We have our Balloon was on. We're going to move the mini, we're going to put on our 2 Kiragas, and I'm going to shortcut them, and then put on double flight here. That was just R1 down to get the double flight. I like to dodge roll over here. Double flight before I start doing wall kicks. Do a couple of jumps, land back on the platform here. And then do a double flight. I was trying to clip myself up through the platform, but that still worked. More of the same to deal with these guys. This is the room that has the good pattern. We'll see if I get it. It's kind of that looks kind of like the one I just saw. It's very like crisscrossy. And if you just mash out a slice immediately, then it clears it in one thing, which is very nice. Double flight into wall kick there. Not that one. That one is pretty tough to get 3 on the first swipe, but if you do, that makes it a little bit faster. And last one. Oh, those do damage, goddamn. Alright, didn't get it, but it's if you watch runs, you'll see it. That's another piece of advice is like, unfortunately, there aren't really people actively running this game. I was like the one person for a while, and now it's no one. But, like, in general, speed games, I'm gonna wax philosophic because it's mostly just movement going on. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, watch people run the game you want to run. You'll learn a lot. It is valuable experience. Right, I've taken a lot of damage. I'm not 100% sure entering the boss fight is gonna heal me, so I'm just gonna do that. I'm also gonna swap out Sheep. Doesn't really matter, but Meow Wow has the potential to be slightly better at staggering bosses, so it doesn't really take extra time to swap Sheep out. So it's something you can do. And you can sort of line itself up with power on the floor to jump directly onto this rail, which is pretty sexy. Now we're entering Anti-Black Coat. Anti-Black Coat is awful. It is a terrible fight. If any fight in this run, in this category, is going to kill you, it's going to be this fight. The basic loop you're going to do is you're going to be... you're going to start spamming Balloon Rose. Probably just send out about 5 of them. Then you're going to start double flighting, like jumping as high as you can before you do your Balloon Rose, because after about 20 seconds... there's going to be a possibility for the boss to do his lifesteal move. I guess I'm doing double flight early. I'm going to try and place a little more aggressive at the start here. The attacks don't hurt super bad. If you see an attack coming, you can just jump over it most of the time. I haven't been able to prove this is a pattern, but I've noticed that whenever Anti-Black Coat tries to like move towards you, like he does his gliding thing and tries to move toward you, that generally means he's gonna try and do the lifesteal soon, so I was kind of watching for it. You can dodge through it, like I just did. You can air slide through it. Unfortunately, in this category, we don't have Dark Barrier, otherwise we'd be able to guard it. That's kind of the safest way. And if you double flight, if you do like a full jump or full height high jump into double flight, then you'll be out of range of it. So that's the other way to save yourself from that. But what the attack does do is it reduces your health to 1, regardless of what your HP is at, scatters a bunch of health orbs that will heal the boss, and then you can get sniped out of it when you're in the recovery animation and just die. And dying is slow. So that's... You really don't want that to happen, but it's gonna happen sometimes, and unless we crack the code on like how his AI works and figure out how to predict it, that's kind of just the way of things. Anyways, this fight is kind of just balloon spam. It is not worth it for us to do the reality shift, so we don't. If you're lucky, he'll just get staggered by every balloon run, and you won't have to do anything. You might have to dodge some attacks, but sometimes he'll just be really nice and you'll get that. You have Kiraga on for a reason. If you need to, use it. His charge attack can be kind of dangerous. even if you did have the ability to guard in air, you wouldn't be able to guard it, so... Generally shouldn't be scary, but, you know... Stranger things have happened. Okay, and you are going to spam Balloonra. I can jump over this. As long as you're close to him, most of these projectile attacks shouldn't hit you. What we're looking for here is a reality shift. I think I'll get it here. You want to activate it immediately. As long as your damage output is good, you should get it. You activate it immediately. Don't get greedy and try and like sneak in another balloon. That's not worth it. Then you'll stun him. And you should have just enough time to kill him before he starts his DM in earnest. Yeah, like that. That was a beautiful fight. That's what you want to see. And you do have to react to his attacks a little bit, but that should be pretty consistent. Now we've got just 2 fights left. And a little bit of movement to talk about. I like to do 2 dodge rolls. Wall kick off the bottom of that staircase. I want to enter this fight with a balloon off of cooldown, so I'm just hovering that. And here I like to air slide into the reality shift, because you can cancel out of it. And now we're going to balloon spam through young Xehanort. And hopefully he just dies. Hopefully he just takes it. That's not an amazing pattern to get, so the fact he didn't stagger, man, I felt like playing it safe. Young Xehanort is a much more interesting fight than I'm gonna have cause or reason to cover in the context of this tutorial. Okay, I am gonna heal my Meow. If any of our spirits die, then it means that we lose their like stat buff, so we would be down a magic boost and some magic haste. That would be very bad. So I don't know why Meow is being such a problem right now, but yeah, that's a thing. Make sure your spirits don't die. You're gonna wait for the clock to hit. It's going backwards, so you're going for the clock to hit like 5 o'clock roughly. Did a little early, but that should still hit. Yeah, that still hit. And then you're gonna start double fighting and doing balloons to avoid these physical hits. Young Xehanort will always, after he goes into clock phase, start with like a barrage of physical hits like that. You want to end this fight with your command deck over a Balloonra that is not on cooldown, which I did, which is good. We want to use a Balloonra the frame we load into the next fight. Like, we want to do it as soon as possible to potentially skip a DM right at the start, so being mindful of that as you're finishing the young Xehanort fight will do you good. And yeah, as long as you're able to get out your Balloonras during that first melee phase, you should be able to finish the clock in that second phase without too much issue. Anyways, here's Sora Collection. The position of these swords is the same every time, so this like long line of them is always right there. I always go for that. There's another one that'll be off to the right in a while, so I'm gonna make sure I grab that too. You can get like an extended strike off of that, which is pretty sick. These anti-Soras will really mess with you. Okay. Yeah, just, you know, want to make sure you hit 30. Shouldn't be too terribly difficult. You'll have to react to a little bit of RNG, but you know where the Soras are going to be, so not a huge amount to talk about there. And as like I was saying, Want to get out Balloon Run immediately. And it looks like we did successfully stun the boss. If the room turns white, then you missed it, unfortunately. And it'd just be like that. This fight is quite dangerous. You have Curaga on for a reason, I've been saying. So, if you get like below half health, then Cure. Right, and we are... white room is quite dangerous if it's this white room that's not the DM. Ventus is a lot more aggressive. And a lot harder to stagger. Alright, when he's not in white room and we're in sort of... Okay, well, I had Cure, so I didn't get a balloon right out. That's unfortunate. You can skip this DM again. He'll generally try and go for it once he's at about 2.5 bars, like half health. I missed it, unfortunately. But if you do get it, you just do slow motion dashes around the arena. I try and do them low to the ground after I sort of jump high to get out of the way so that once it's over, I can just land immediately. Yeah, just gonna throw out Balloon Res until he dies, and once he hits 0 health, you're gonna stop attacking him. Otherwise, you might keep staggering him and prevent him from entering this phase. And here you're gonna... You want to parry his attacks, basically, so you're gonna wait for him to fire for volley, and then you're gonna shoot your thing. Nightmare Clash, I guess it's called. As long as the timing is good. Time ends right here. And that's Dream Drop Distance, beginner any percent. In like a little under 3 hours while doing commentary. That's pretty good. Yeah, so a couple things before I highlight this and upload to YouTube and all that. Just shout out to the community, you know, might as well. You know, shout out to Dessa, shout out to Velo, shout out to KBM. Anyone else who's like contributed to the development of this game that I'm not aware of. Sonic Shadow Silver.
I'll find you, Sora.
I don't know enough of the routing history to know like the rest of... I think Rebel's done some routing. Shout out to Rebel Dragon 95. Most of this route is those people. The mini stuff is me, everything else is them. And the mini stuff is also kind of KBM and Velo, but whatever. So shout out to them. If anyone is learning this, has questions, wants some answers, I don't really... I'm not super active on this YouTube channel, so like, don't... I mean, comment, like, and subscribe, sure, but, you know, if you want me to, like, actually answer your questions, like, you can find me through the Kingdom Hearts Speedrunning Discord, shoot me a DM, or, you know, send a message in the DDD channel, or the Learners. The Learners don't have a separate channel. It's whatever the rules are for posting in those channels whenever you see this, is, you know... What
is it that you're so afraid of?
Feel free to interact in the DDD section of the Discord. Someone will answer your question. You know, you can also come into my stream chat. I stream live on Twitch. I even enjoy myself sometimes. And I'm always happy to, you know, talk about routes and, like, answer questions and, you know, satisfy people's curiosity. That's something I enjoy doing. And I'm sure, you know, most of the people I just listed and most people in the community feel the same. Yeah, and the last thing I want to leave off with is saying is that, you know, I think... You know, I believe that this is far from the final form of this route and any of the routes in the speed game. I think this game has a lot of room to grow. So, you know, feel free to experiment. Feel free to, you know, poke around. You know, try and figure out what makes this game tick. You know, if something doesn't sit right with you, you think something can be done better, you know. You could be the person to, you know, push this game forward. And, you know, if that's something you're interested in, and you want to do that for Kingdom Hearts in particular. Like, I don't think there's any more fertile ground than this game right now. Everything else is pretty optimized, but there's a lot of room for growth, and in this game in general, and also, you know, in beginner any percent in particular, there's certainly still things to discover, I'm sure. But yeah, I think this stream is funzo dunzo. This was all I wanted to do today, so yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. Happy running. Good luck. I'll see you on the leaderboard.